It is. I mean, it is. It is. It's. I don't know if there's another word beyond blatant, but blatant is, as if there's a stronger word for it. It is essentially we're witnessing a rape, and that's exactly what it is. And the military is adamant. The U.S. military is adamant that they keep control of Honduras, because apparently it's a very good place to keep a watch over the rest of Latin America, and other countries will most likely not allow the U.S. to have such an extensive set of bases in their own country. Right now, I think there's about 13 bases, military bases, in Honduras that are either U.S. supported or have U.S. Military on them.
Now, I mean, this specifically, the entire country is affected, but this specifically affects indigenous tribes, people that are still living, in the land and the areas that they would like to mine, and turn into, look, like in this case, a dam. Will you speak about some of the struggles that indigenous peoples have had in Honduras, targeted specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. It's happening all over the country. If it's, I mean, it can be indigenous, as in Mayan indigenous, or it can be there's a Garifuna population on the Caribbean coast that has been there since slavery. They have lived there and they have tried to create a home and have some sense of income and life. They've mostly been agrarian. And now, because they're on pristine property in the Caribbean, the oligarchy is trying to take over some of these plots of land, and in fact, has probably taken over most of it and put up resorts. Now, Honduras used to have the second largest reef in the world behind the Great Barrier Reef, but now it's completely destroyed. They've brought in cruise ships, they've set up resorts, and a lot of people are going there, and they're not even paying any mind to the fact that this is on what was indigenous land, Afro-indigenous land. I've heard a report. I read a report from Global Witness, a 2017 report. I think it came out in January of 2017, that gave some detail about one of these resorts. And the resort happened to be on Garifuna land. The Garifuna used to take a 15-minute walk to town to get their food, to get their medical care. Well, now a resort has been placed in between the town and the indigenous village, the Afro-indigenous village. So now these people can't walk across the beach. The people who own the resort won't allow them across the beach, and so they have to take an hour down a dirt road to get to school, to get to their medical care, to get food. Can you imagine how disruptive this is for their lives? And they don't benefit from it. They claimed they were going to give them jobs, and they didn't. They had them around for less than a year, and then they kicked them out because they used them to train the other people, cheaper labor.
Yeah, so I mean, for our listeners that don't know, this is a problem across the world when it comes to these resorts and hotels. So they'll promise the people that live there, you help us build us. They get cheap labor. They'll talk to the chiefs. And then as soon as the place is built, then they hire a bunch of labor that isn't from there and then ban the people that live there, that it's their island, from even coming near it. Right. And it's not like, oh, you're banned, you can't come through there, somebody will yell at you or something. We're talking about, if we catch you on here, it's trespassing and they arrest you.
That's right. And then so as a result of that, what do these people do? Well, they leave, right? Of course they're going to leave. Of course we have people on U.S. border trying to get into this country because we are helping to displace them. These resorts are built with international money. These oligarchies borrow money from banks, international banks, and they fund them. And so, we're creating the problem, and I think there is a direct line. It's pretty obvious, and we're the ones creating the problem, and now we're the ones trying to build a wall, apparently.
Okay, hey, we guys, we do have a second guest in. about this subject. This is from the Copan movement about this is against the GMO crops. Can you hear us? You can just speak whenever you're ready. Little message in the.
Yeah, we might have to message them to get in here. Goodness, indigenous rights and GMOs. We are definitely going to get banned tonight.
Yeah. No. So you just continue with Silvio, then we will wait for the other guest. Maybe try to help in Spanish, is what Dan says.
And we probably are going to have to do a whole show in here in Spanish, because we do have a lot of Spanish speaking listeners. Until they get back on here. Can you name some of the resources that are being taken right now? I know the waterways are a huge point, and a lot of the areas here, not just the hotels. Like, people don't understand that these hotels, when they come here, these resorts destroy the area, the reef, the water, the dumping, the noise from generators, all of these things. Air pollution. Gets brought to these areas that, until the hotel was put there, the hotel's put there for these beautiful views, and then immediately comes and destroys the area that the hotel was put there for. And when it does close or something happens, it's not like they come back in and make it like it was before. They just leave the kind of rotting corpse of this hotel sitting there.
That's right, and it's a complete cycle of environmental degradation.
And then immediately comes
this,
and destroys
what the reason these, and it's not just on coast. It's not on just pristine, beaches. It's inland too, like the dam that my aunt and the indigenous people, the Lenca of Honduras, were fighting against. This dam was in a remote area. It's in a mountain village. I've been there. It's a beautiful area. Well, it was, until they started raping it. And now, the reason they're in there is because they want to put in the dam to generate some hydropower. Now, the hydropower is is minimal that it would produce. But it's not just about that. It's also about mining. Apparently, there is gold. There's rumors that there's gold there, and many other resources. And so, it's the need for hydropower is just a ruse. Honduras does not have a water shortage problem. It does have a lack of clean water, a colossal lack of clean water. But that could be, that could be remedied relatively easy if the priorities of the government were legitimate.
I was going to make a connection between colonization, but you finished the statement with that there's stories. The reason that they're destroying your land is because there's stories that there might be gold there. How long have we been hearing that?
Yeah, that's and that's not something that anyone is talking about. It's but it's obvious, and there are around 50 of these hydroelectric plants, power plants going up around Honduras, or that they have talked about creating in Honduras. And many of these are already going forward, and this isn't an isolated incident. Berta's assassination is one of several that have occurred. And now, after this trial, there have been some details of links, how it's linked to the Honduran military, linked to this one of the wealthiest men in Honduras, who owns that company that was trying to build the dam, the Atala family. And there is, it goes way up. We'll never find out who ordered the hit, but I think people recognize how this came about, and this is really the first time. Berta's assassination was the first time that they actually had to answer for it. This has never happened before.
I mean, she had an amazing voice. You know, if you hear the speeches that she gave, and being able to convey that to not just the local area, you know, that this isn't, you know, that they're not closed off, that this fight is all of us. And I really, you know, I thought that was so powerful. Um, and the fact that people aren't brought to justice for this kind of corruption. You know, you're murdering and stealing things from people for profit, which is, I mean, the most, you know, inhuman thing that you can do.
Yeah, and this, you know, the fact that we've gotten this far to the point where 8 or 7 men were on trial, um, is shocking, for all of us, because we didn't think this would ever happen. But Berta's voice was so powerful. Berta, if anything, Berta was very good at communicating this message that you and I, you know, are kind of fumbling about. This was Berta's lifelong work. You know, I used to go to Honduras when I was little, and well, as I was growing up, and visit her. So she was only 2 years older than I was, so she is like you know, a sister to me. And I would go visit her, and I would every morning when I was there, my grandmother was a midwife, and she would help the indigenous people. She would give them health care, provide them with health care, shots, basic stuff. And Berta was always there helping Mama Berta, or our grandmother, my grandmother, her mother. So Berta knew, well, you know, every day she saw the indigenous people coming down from the mountains, many times taking extensive miles, hours to walk to the village where my grandmother lived to receive, you know, basic health care. Like one time I was there, I was really young, I was probably 7 or 8, and I saw my grandmother take a child into a room with her mother, you know, indigenous mother following, and the child looked like it was asleep, little boy. And my grandmother came out of the room and she said, "The boy's died. Can you help me get some candles?" And I helped her, of course. I was terrified. I didn't, you know, I helped her as best I could. Berta was there too. And my grandmother came back out of the room and told me the boy died. He died from diarrhea. You know, like, and that to me is, at that age, I had had diarrhea. You know, I didn't, it's just shocking, you know, no
Yeah.
matter what age you are, for a child that looks like he's 3. In fact, I think he may have been older than I was, but he died, you know, and his mother traveled for, you know, I was told she had traveled for several days to get help. And she shows up, and all my grandmother can do is light candles. And Berta saw that every day. You know, I saw that once, and I'm still talking about it today, but Berta lived that. So, you know, Berta, what Berta has witnessed throughout her life, what all of these indigenous people have witnessed throughout their lives, and what they continue to suffer through, considering, you know, where we are today, is simply shocking and base and disgusting. And we have to change this. And if, you know, not to give myself a plug, but if you want to find out more about Berta, just Google her name, Berta Cáceres, Berta with Berta, and Cáceres, Cacares, sorry, Caceres. And I wrote a few op-eds in the New York Times that you can read about. The last one, I slammed the Honduran president, and there's a few others there, but there's, you know, you can find out about Berta's legacy, and it's a powerful one. If there's anyone to ever, you know, look up to in a third world country, that is a woman that is highly respected, that was going to change her country, it was this one. And so if this government, if these people that are ruling Honduras, you know, they did have an inkling, they were smart, they knew that they were in for it if she ever got any real power, because she was going to go after them.
Well, I definitely see her making a change, you know, in Honduras, if not the world, in the fact that, look, we're talking about her. You know, if I know about it on the other side of the world, that's no small feat. It's not like, and maybe something that the oppressors never seem to understand, whether it's Berta or Che Guevara, right? It never has the effect that they want it to, right? They always do the same thing with these tactics, the same, hard-nosed murderous tactics, and it always has the same effect. It only makes them louder.
That's right, and that's a saying that came out soon after Berta was killed. The saying in Spanish was "Berta no murió, se multiplicó," and that means Berta didn't die; she multiplied. And that's that we can't this is why I'm so glad you guys reached out to me, because we have to keep having these discussions. Like I make it my prerogative to go out and try to speak to college students. I mean, there are many there have been a few opportunities, and I've been really surprised and amazed at how many people knew about Berta. It's an incredible legacy, and we have to keep talking about her and the work she did if we're ever going to change things.
Okay, maybe we can go a little more specific because we're like uncensored, right? We don't really care what is said on this show. I mean, they're not going to censor it. So let's start with making this very specific. Can you tell us, like, why did she get killed? Who killed her? And tell us about DESA, the energy company that is behind this.
Yeah, so DESA is owned by one of the wealthiest men in Latin America, which is a bit shocking to be, from Honduras and be a billionaire, considering how many people are starving in that country. And so his name is Camilo Atala. They are a large family. There are several millionaires in that family. He owns banking. He owns telecommunications. He owns a soccer team. Most of the wealthy own a lot of the communication in Honduras, be it newspapers, television, and they are very pro-government. And so it's fairly easy to control messages in Honduras. So that's why it's even more important that you guys, do this and do the work that you're doing. The Atalas are an incredibly powerful family. They're very closely tied to the current government, Juan Orlando Hernandez. This guy's actually this president's brother is currently in New York on trial for smuggling as a drug dealer. He's a drug kingpin, and he was so brazen that he would have his shipments of cocaine stamped with his initials, TH. And so he's in New York right now in jail. His brother the president of Honduras, has claimed that he didn't, know anything about his brother's, work. Also, the security minister in Honduras, Julian Pacheco, has been under investigation by the DEA. That was recently released in AP wires. There are many of these people in that office, in the president's office, who are or have been involved in not just drug smuggling, but all kinds of nefarious acts, killing people for land in an area called the Bajo Aguan. There are DuPont has a large facility down there, a large area. Palm oil is a big thing as well, and so they are stealing land from indigenous people, indigenous tribes, and paying off the military to patrol and to keep any of these indigenous people off their land as well. None of these incidents are isolated. They're happening all over the country, and these are the it's so I could sit here, and I don't know all the names of all the people that are involved in this situation in Honduras, but there are countless numbers of corrupt officials running the government and in Congress,
Which would be an issue in of itself, but then you've got U.S. interest literally arming, uh, drug gangs with military grade training and guns. Um, in some
Yeah.
cases, even attack helicopters. There was there was a and this may be the same guy, but I mean there was a drug kingpin that was busted maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and yeah, he had a brand new attack helicopter, courtesy of the U.S. government. Where else do you get an Apache attack helicopter?
That's
And
that's exactly right. It's just sickening. Like the amount of equipment the U.S. gives to Honduras, and their excuse is a high crime rate. But who's causing that crime rate? It's corrupt police, and drug kingpins that are allied with the government. It's a ridiculous, stupid cycle. And so there is actually some legislation now with Berta's name on it. It's called Berta Cáceres Human Rights in Honduras Act, and it's been reintroduced this year by Hank Johnson, who has been representative from Georgia, a Democrat, who has been introducing the legislation since 2016 when we first introduced it. We've not got more than 70 or 77, I think. We got 77 sponsors the last time it was introduced. And this time we have some new signers now because our, the Democrats are now signing up to be against Trump. Before they weren't. They wouldn't, in 2016, we couldn't get, it was very hard to get as many co-signers as we did. And this time it's been a little easier because they can now criticize U.S. policy in Latin America. They have a way in thanks to Trump. So, in a way, this is good for us, but we've got a long way to go. And that I'll explain the bill. That bill, called the Berta Cáceres Human Rights in Honduras Act, would hold $20 million in military aid to Honduras. Now that's nothing, but it sends a message to the government saying we're not going to support this more, and it's a first step. And so, this we chose to do this, the legislation, because we wanted to make sure that we didn't overreach, and all of this has to be negotiated at a very high level, and sadly this is the only way we can do it.
so for any of our listeners that want to know, that is HR 1945. If you want to look up in Congress the bill, write your congressman. That's Representative Henry Johnson of Georgia, I think he is. But
Correct.
write him and show your support. Get on his Twitter and do the same thing. Great job on HR 1945. Keep fighting. Any of those things, but make sure it doesn't get lost in all the other bills that people don't even know are being passed or that they can show support for.
Yeah, it's a predominantly. I think all the co-sponsors so far have only been Democrats. So if you're in an area where you've got someone who is a possibility, who's a moderate Republican or whatever, put some pressure on them. Tell your congressman you don't want your tax dollars. It's our tax dollars, that are going to fund this corrupt government. It's just, and the U.S. government claims, those who support State Department claims that this money is really going to NGOs, and that those NGOs help the Honduran people. But that's only part of the truth. We can stop the military funding, and that's what this bill calls for, specifically military funding to the Honduran government. And we need more support for this bill. There are people like Norma Torres in California, who is a Democrat, but she won't support it. I wrote her a letter specifically asking for her support. She's head of the Central America Caucus in Congress, but won't support the bill because she's very closely allied to State Department. She's also of Guatemalan descent, and she allegedly left Guatemala because of the violence and came here to the U.S. So it's just
Well,
baffling.
that doesn't make
No,
any sense.
it makes no sense. I have photos of her with Juan Orlando Hernandez. She would sponsor his trips up here, and he would come up here and ask for more money. It's shocking.
Yeah,
These
and just do a quick
people, Yeah, go ahead.
That people also have to know that this is still going on at a very bad level right now for the people in Honduras. Because I want to, I'm sad the other guest is not yet available, but she was together with Berta at the grassroots movement, and she is at this moment still getting threats. Like right now, like she's still getting. I was, we were still waiting for her to join the show, and I hope she will join soon. But uh, she, like literally, she's still being threatened for her work, and maybe if she shows up, maybe in maybe like 15 minutes or so, maybe you can help, because I think she is better at Spanish than at English. But
Yeah, we can
Okay.
definitely we'll chew through it. um,
Yeah, there's a few people down there that my aunt, that Berta worked very closely with, and like I don't know if you're talking to Karen Spring, but she is someone who is married to a person who is Edwin Espinal, who is now in jail. He's in a maximum security jail in Honduras. He's Honduran. He worked very closely with Berta as well, and he was caught. I think he was caught trying to vandalize a a truck of some sort during a protest. Now there was video of that, and so that's how they caught him. But there was also video of the Honduran Congress um, basically trying to get the president of the Congress to hurry up and pass a bill that would allow them, that would give them immunity. And there's video of this. Now, which crime in your minds is a larger crime? The one where some guy is, whatever, trying to light a truck on fire, or the one where a group of congressmen are passing laws to provide themselves with immunity so they don't have to face any charges for embezzlement or any kind of corruption. I think it's
yeah, I
pretty
mean, it's one of
obvious.
those. It's not like he was a drunk kid on a Friday night lighting a car on fire, right? He's someone like many of us that have been pushed to the very, very limit. If I don't stop this truck right now, it's going to destroy my land. Right? There's no coming back, right? If I let this truck pass at this very moment, right, it's going to go to the mine, it's going to fill up whatever it is, and they're going to dump that into our water, right? Those are your choices. It's not
That's right.
quite as cut and dry as, oh, you were you were lighting a car on fire to protest. No, in a lot
Right.
of cases you're literally stopping the truck on the way to destroying your water source, right? On its way to bring machinery to cut down thousands of trees in one go to put up palm oil plants. um they're not equal in any way, shape, or form. The things that the politicians are doing um are, it's hard to describe. You don't always have the words to describe. What do you call someone that does planet genocide? You've mentioned, you've said the word rape, but there isn't a lot of words to really describe what these people are doing to our environment, to our country, to our people as a group. um so yeah, I mean, I think there is a real distinction to be made for someone defending their land compared to the people that are doing everything they can, including murder, to take it. If anything, some of these protests are as civil as humanly possible when your other person's goal is to steal your land and poison your water. Just saying, that
Absolutely.
maybe
I
that maybe
couldn't have said it by
I've got
myself.
an opinion. I've got an opinion like everybody else, but I don't think that it's necessarily, when you look at the actions of a person blocking a road or blocking construction equipment or the parts that you need to make one of these giant saws to cut through forests that have been so long we forgot who planted them, right? That kind of thing. They're not equal in any way, in any way. And our people aren't killers, which is something that the people we're fighting are.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they don't care. they lose no sleep over this, and they've done it for so long and gotten away with it for so long that it's it's not a problem. And Berta's life was taken supposedly for $50,000. Like that's all it took. That's all it took to change Honduras and somehow make it worse.
I do apologize. On the show we're normally, real quick to discussion, but I'd like everybody to really contemplate, what he just said there. When you go back and look at what she was doing, what she was defending, the people that she was defending, and how she was going back and doing it. $50,000, you shouldn't be ashamed. You should rot in hell. I don't have the words to respond to something that horrific. When you think of somebody's life as being absolutely priceless, the person that we've seen, in videos, the person that, you've given us some stories for, a person that's affected, the fight for indigenous rights, $50,000. There's no words for the amount of scum that someone that sets that up is.
Oh yeah, for
It's
sure.
not. You shouldn't just be ashamed. Your ancestors should be ashamed. Yeah. So I'd like all of our listeners to really contemplate, the words that it's real for the people that did it. For $1 million, a palm oil, plantation that's only going to exist for 50 years before it's used all the nutrients in the land. Yeah, rough. So to everybody that's listening, I really urge you to use everyone that's put their life on the line, that sacrificed themselves for our planet, for their stories and their fight to continue on through us by any means necessary. Right? Share it, talk about it. Go and inform others. Make sure that struggle is not for nothing. Which is the best thing that we can do, which every time they try to go and get away from it, right? Her name is the first thing out of your list, right? The bills that you pass have her name on it, so that, every time you'll never forget, right, the wonderful thing that you took from the rest of it.
Well, and people, there are actually many people who know about this. Like, when I started the show, immediately I got a reply from someone from Germany, and this person is on the other side of the world, right? And this person says, and we only mentioned the word Honduras in the episode. We didn't mention the specific name or whatever, but the only thing this person immediately said was, "I keep listening to Berta Cáceres with admiration. The protection of land and national resources, the defense of life against barbarism, and for no reason lobbies shit capitalists." So it's pretty much a German person who immediately picks up on that and immediately knows Honduras. I know what this is about, and this is about it. And yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot of good news that comes out of Honduras, and for us, Berta was a powerful symbol of change. Obviously she still continues to have an effect on people. I go to, occasionally I will meet people who know about her. When they find out I'm Honduran, I always say, did you know who she was? Or they ask me if I'm Honduran, and if I knew who she was, and I, their jaws drop when I tell them she was my aunt, and I can't be more proud of everything she did. But honestly, it's just so powerful what, the manner in which she would take control, but she was also so very human, and but everybody would listen to her. It didn't matter to her who she was talking to. She didn't give a shit. She did what she had to do. And it wasn't that she was obnoxious. She wasn't rude. She dotted every I, crossed every T, was very thorough with her work, was very endearing, and always knew how to talk to people no matter who they were, what quote unquote level they were at. Always an incredible communicator, and we miss her. We miss her terribly, and we need her. We need her now. Sorry guys, but I have to. I'm still at work, and I want to go home and see my family. um, but I just want to encourage your listeners to, yeah, to do find out more about her in Honduras, the situation in Honduras, to bother your representatives no matter what country you're in. People in Spain have named streets after her. Germany has done a lot. Holland has done some work about around Berta as well. They've hosted my cousins, her daughters, Berta's daughters. Berta has three daughters and one son. And they are wonderful children. They're not children; they're adults. One of the daughters is now a congresswoman in Honduras. Another one has taken her mother's place in the organization and is now leading the organization. But of course, it's not. She's not Berta, and she fully recognizes that, and she's not trying to be Berta. But I would encourage you to, if you, the best place to get updates is unfortunately probably the biggest nemesis online is Facebook. But there's a facebook.com/Berta Justice for Berta. Facebook.com/Justice for Berta is the fastest way that I run that site, and it's the fastest way that I can get information out, considering that I work and trying to raise a family as well. There's also a website, bertacaceres.org, that will have some useful information, especially archival information. And please feel free to reach out to me on Twitter or even Facebook. And I can't thank you guys enough for the discussion tonight. It's been really great to be able to talk about her again. I haven't in a little while, and it feels really good to do so.
Well, thank you very much for coming on and helping get the word out, which is really what we're here for, is to provide our platform to keep the people's voice in the public. There was a website that you gave. Do you want to? Because we do have a lot of people that are that are against the evil Facebook, but you did give a website earlier. Do you want to give that out real quick before you go?
Apologies for that, but it's in Latin America, it's probably the easiest way to get information out. So the website is bertacaceres.org. So it's bertacaceres.org. And I try to keep it updated, but that one's a little harder for me to update than the Facebook page. So please forgive me.
Okay, and I do want to thank you too, and I want to say we would love to have you back on the show whenever you have a time. Usually we do like weekly episodes, but we can have like other specials about this too. Whenever you want to say something about this, we can like immediately go on air for you. But also, please stick around here in the Discord server if you want, because there are others from Honduras too who want to come on, and I think they would be very proud and very happy to have you on with them, and so they can you guys can discuss together and inform us together about things, and would really appreciate it.
Sure, will do. My pleasure, and thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it, and my family thanks you, of course.
You're welcome.
Oh, that was a great guest.
That was
a great guest.
Yep.
Yeah, so we do have a lot to go over tonight. Yeah, I don't know exactly where everybody wants to start. We got like a monster lawsuit from Facebook. I think $3 billion they've got to pay out.
I didn't hear about that one, but I heard about the 5 billion plus the 100,000 they owed the FTC. But yeah, enlighten us about that one.
I think this is specifically with Canada.
Oh yeah. If Mark goes to Canada, he's gonna get arrested, right?
Yeah, he's got a warrant out there for not
his
showing
arrest.
up at some panel.
Can we go all Dog the Bounty Hunter? I will totally dress up like Dog the Bounty Hunter to go get Mark Zuckerberg. Like in a heartbeat. I will go down. I think there's an office down here where you can get your bounty hunter license. I will get my bounty hunter license right now and track Zuckerberg down.
Just for him, then.
I
might come over.
The pinnacle of my life.
Yeah.
Please run. Please run. Please run.
But does it mean that there's like a 5 billion sentence and like a 3 billion? Is it so that it makes like 8 billion against Facebook total, or
plus the 100 million that they owe?
Yeah, I think like it's just slowly going up, and these are the guys that want to start their own currency.
Yeah, you know, I've been saying stuff about that for a minute, not online, but to a couple of my friends who were in an investor circle on Telegram, and they were talking about. Well, there's quite a few. This one's a legit one, not like a dump pump and dump. But they were talking about like, is Libra coin even worth investing in? And I told them, absolutely not. It's a stable coin, which is when you get a stable coin, they're just gimmicks for gift cards. And outside of the Facebook universe and really trading it and using it for real products, it's really just a gimmick. You know, you can't mine it. It's not going to go up and down in price. Facebook controls it. So what's the fucking point, you know?
It's pretty much so that you can buy games and...
It's a gift card. It's basically a gift card. It's basically a gift card. Yeah. What's the point?
You get to make Zuckerberg some more money. Look, come on, you're not looking at it from his perspective. He's got bills to pay. Some serious bills.
I can tell you one thing. Every time the Visa or MasterCard tells me I cannot buy something because it's against something that they're not with, or I try to donate to a group that they don't agree with. If I want to use cryptocurrency like Ethereum, Bitcoin, Cardano, Tron, or whatever the fuck you want in the top 50 fucking cryptocurrency on CoinMarketCap, I can send that money and I can buy the product without any political agendas, you know?
Yeah, without Big Brother breathing down my
exactly.
Well, right now you can.
For now.
Yeah, for now. I mean, there'll always be a way to move money around.
Soros is getting big in in a few exchanges, isn't he? In some of the crypto, he's more and more in there, so it's going to go bad.
Yes, once the big whales come in, the whales are already in. Actually, to be honest with you, they've already been lurking here and there, jacking up the prices. But yeah, the whales are already in the cryptocurrency.
But that has a lot to do with billionaires in China and Russia. It's weird as that says, but
yes.
Yeah, they move. I mean, just a huge. They're pretty much controlling the crypto markets at the moment.
Yeah, it's usually the Chinese and believe it or not, a lot of rich guys out in the Middle East too, big players.
The people you don't want to play a poker game with is what we're saying.
Yeah.
So are we gonna? I mean, there's been a lot in the political circle. Are we gonna go into the Mueller fiasco?
I honestly didn't even watch it because I didn't think it was worth watching. But
it was a travesty. I mean, it was just stupid.
It was so bad.
Yeah, to be honest, my favorite part, if you want to know corruption in its purest form, was the Democrats and Republicans trying to, and Mueller trying to figure out exactly how to say not in a triple and double negative in their questioning, right? Are you saying that you did not call Trump a traitor? No, I didn't not call him a traitor. Did you, or is he not guilty of a crime? Yes or no? Why is this so difficult? Can you imagine if that went with anything else? So did you commit the murder? Well, I didn't say he did not commit the murder. Well, that's not exactly what I asked.
Yeah.
Mueller came across like he didn't even know what was in the report that he allegedly wrote.
I do not think that. I'm pretty sure he did not write that report. I would be surprised after that interview. I would be surprised if he had little more than his name on it. It seemed like he had no idea what was going on, and more. Look, both all Mueller, Bernie, and Trump and Biden are all the same age.
Yeah.
Right, and can you imagine like one of them giving a performance like that? It seemed like he had no idea what was going on, and for the first hour, it seemed like he was just waking up.
But he also seemed to know more details about anything Trump might have done, and then totally nothing about what anything Hillary might have done, which was 10
well, in the
worse.
same answer, I'm not going to go into that. What do you mean you're not going to go into that? You can talk about corruption and interference in our election, right? Were they not interfering? Oh, I can't talk about that right now. There's a whole bunch of there was a whole bunch of the issues that he tap danced with. There's somebody else investigating it, or I'm not going to talk about it, or it's not within my scope. You don't know about all the you don't know anything about WikiLeaks? Never heard of WikiLeaks? Boy, have I heard that before.
No, that was that did come up early in what I saw was them bad mouthing WikiLeaks and how the information allegedly got to the public, and so there was a lot of details there about especially about bad mouthing Assange.
But none
about
that they were using
themselves.
his current. Yeah, not that they were using the information from WikiLeaks like everybody up there. Like, we're completely against it, but I'm going to quote it word for word in my rebuttal. Well, then you're not as against it as you might think. I think that some of it is that your average person watching that doesn't realize where the information's came from. Where the on both the Trump corruption and the Clintons corruption and the Democrat DNC corruption, they don't realize that came from WikiLeaks. So when they hear these senators talking about it, they assume that the NSA or the FBI or one of their committees came up with it, and not that they're reading it line from line from the WikiLeaks fucking webpage. There was one when you zoom in and see their pictures, it still has the WikiLeaks web link at the top from where they printed it off.
Oh God.
No, so yeah, there's been a pretty much a CIA written bill that I want to say it was passed, and it's essentially going after Assange, calling him a hostile intelligence service, and then therefore now we can really go after him.
Oh, in the way that ASAP Rocky, Trump tweets about it, release of ASAP Rocky every single day, and every day we respond with, if you're gonna, and he's been tweeting free ASAP Rocky, and we're all like, every time that he posts that, we're immediately like, well, if you're gonna free somebody, you want to start with Julian Assange?
He loved him.
Yeah, I was going to say nobody in Congress is really touching that with a 10-foot pole right now.
Well, because they're all actively using the information. Like I said, if you watch the Mueller report or the Mueller testimony, right? That was, most of what they were saying was, quoted directly from the WikiLeaks pages. And then they would argue about the dossier was completely and utterly fake, but that you got from your agents and all of these respectable assholes, right? And then the people that you're against, WikiLeaks, right, are the only ones that gave you any real information. Right. And every single one of them bitched and whined about the Russians this, the Russian that, the Russian interference. The Russians posted pictures and memes about your corrupt officials. Quit running corrupt officials, and they have nothing to talk about.
Yeah, I wouldn't exactly call a meme as counterintelligence, but
that's all that it took. When you've got such weak candidates, all you have to post is a picture of Hillary Clinton giving a speech with a bunch of bankers saying that she's got one face for the American people and one face for the bankers. You coming out, in your words, saying that you're a two-faced, corrupt banking puppet, right? They didn't have to do any work but put that in a meme. And it's true, your candidates are destroyed, right? Our American candidates are destroyed by their own corruption, not by mudslinging, not by lies, not by infiltration, right? Not by assassinations. All I got to do is post an email that you write in one of your rich friends and your campaign's over. That's not difficult. Quit running corrupt candidates and there's no mud to throw.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. This is why Obama had such an easy victory compared to like Hillary Clinton. I mean, Obama didn't have all this dirt surrounding him.
Well, because he had only been in Congress for like a week.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't know anything. No, we can't release all this dirt about him. He's just a random guy.
Which I think people have learned their lesson, because you've seen like the Buttigiegs, right, come across like people that seem to have came out of the blue, just like Obama did. And before we kind of bought it wholeheartedly, and now now we do a lot more research, right? Like we want to know how you're going to react in this situation, because just being a good guy is not enough.
Yeah, seriously.
I seem like a good guy. Well, he seemed like a good guy before he started carpet bombing everybody and torturing people in Guantanamo.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't mention that. He didn't mention that in his speeches, or I wouldn't have been on board.
What gets me though too, like about Mueller is people really they say like, well, they're shocked at the way this has turned out, and he really wasn't the guy that we thought he was. What do you mean? You must know nothing about him. After he's supported Whitey Bulger and all the other corruption that he supported at the FBI all these years. It's like you didn't know all that. You didn't know he was a bad guy. It's like. You just now finding that out.
There's a difference between being an FBI agent, right? And I know plenty of guys that join the military, the FBI, the services to defend their country, right? They're joining for honorable reasons and feel that they're doing honorable crap. You're the head of the FBI? Man, this shit is bogus, right? There's a difference, right? This is all bullshit. So there's you know what I mean, to come out and be like, if he was just a random agent, yeah, he's probably a good guy, right? He feels he's doing his job, protecting the nation, stopping terrorism, whatever, right? And that's completely different. You're the top, right? That this is, that the head of that the crown prince of Saudi Arabia had Khashoggi murdered. You know that. You got it in paperwork. You know what I mean? In black and white.
He's like, yeah, we'll just omit that one, right? We'll look the other way and pretend we never knew anything, right?
Yeah. I mean, and you can list off, right? When you get to the top like that, there's definitely a difference between somebody that's a soldier just getting orders. You knew that those orders were bogus. You wrote them.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people say, well, you can't criticize him because, well, he's a good soldier. He served his country and all that. And then they're finally realizing, well, you know what? I mean, even if he did all that, that's no excuse for being a corrupt asshole.
Yeah.
And sometimes being caught last one holding the ball in the time where being a good soldier meant that you, like we just got on here before, right? You run operations in South America to murder innocent people and steal their land for the IMF in an illegal drug war, right? That totally makes a difference.
Yeah, you don't get a pass.
That's more than following orders. You came up with the plan. That's a bad plan. Yeah. Oh well. What's your plan? We'll just fill the car. We'll just fill the plane with uranium and sell it to Eastern Europe. That sounds like a good idea. That was Mueller. Mueller met a guy on a tarmac with a trunk full of fucking nuclear material.
Yeah, this sounds like a bad idea. Said no one ever, right?
Honestly, right? Even in my time in the military, I am not going along. I'm not going on this mission. This is a bad idea, guys. We are meeting Eastern European fucking warlords and selling them nuclear weapons. This is a bad idea.
Unless you're the guys that are going to make a shit ton of money, like Hillary and the Clinton Foundation.
That was the Biden
Uranium One.
No, you can't even talk about uranium. You saw they went through the whole Mueller report.
You can't
mention uranium.
Talk about that. God damn it.
Yeah, nobody likes touching that one. And
we're so upset that the rest of the world has nuclear weapons when we're literally selling them to people on airfields out the back of a truck.
Yeah, literally.
Well, not only that was the whole thing.
Like, did you do it salesman style?
Like kicking the ranchers out, out there in the West. I mean, they've already sold the uranium out from under the ranchers that own that land. That's how bad it is.
Yeah, no, you can't, and there's plenty of things about cattle farming that needs to be dealt with. But seriously, you guys wanted to kick off of people. I mean, in some cases, they've been in that farming that same land for 200-300 years now. And you want to kick them off of their land, their livelihood, so that you can dig up uranium and then complain about the world moving to nuclear war. Have you considered stop building nuclear weapons? Like, we got enough. We can destroy the world like 1 billion times over. Let's just chill. We're good. We got them all.
They're like, no, we'll just keep on building.
Oh, we need one more. Did you know about the supersonic ones? They're supersonic ones now. Hypersonic. Which means we can blow up the world, right, 100 times and 1 at supersonic speed. Woo!
We can do it faster.
But not to the same end. Like, you know what I mean? For me, the person that's being incinerated in Wisconsin, does it really matter how fast? Wow, did you see that? It was supersonic when we exploded into flames. Impressive.
Got to get rid of that lag time. That 4 minutes that Hillary gave away is, the treasonous Hillary told you how long it takes. We got to get that down to 2 or 3 minutes.
I was just, look, there are honorable people in our government. None of the people that were sitting on that panel or being questioned were honorable. And there was even that unspoken, there was a couple of times where in the testimony, Mueller said a couple of things that weren't meant to be a joke. It was all like, oh, this isn't a corrupt system or something like that. And God, everybody laughed and laughed and laughed because, the people that are watching are fools, right? It's all for show. You could tell the things that they weren't going to ask each other so that when my side gets caught corrupt, we don't ask you those questions either, right? We'll have a couple of things we come out and fight and argue about. We go back to our sides and run our 2-second clips, right, of our guy kicking ass. And then don't ever get to the underlying corruption that they're supposed to be there to undo. Like, I didn't understand the point of any of it. Nothing was answered. Nothing. We stayed exactly where we were.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people thought, and I did too, is like, why would the Democrats bring this up? It was a bad angle to start with, and now you're going to bring him back to bring it up again, and then he looks like an asshole. How did any of that help you?
Well, I mean, look, and I'm sure he's a smart guy. Like, I'm not saying that, but it didn't look like he had it together enough. Something that you had been working on for years now, and you pretty much have no idea what's in it. And you're supposedly the one that wrote it. You would be different if it's just some paper that was thrown on your desk like 15, 20 minutes before. We've just been talking about for a couple of months. You supposedly wrote the Mueller report. It has your name on it. It's called the Mueller report. I'm sorry, what page was that on? Page 1. Page 1. That's what you opened with. You wrote this. You took, how many months did you take to write the very first page and you have no idea what's on it? It was like, that was just all terrible. Complete political theater. And I think, honestly, the right came out looking better than the left did in the end. Just from optics. Not just what was said, but just in optics.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was kind of obvious. I was surprised they went through with that.
I thought maybe if you knew it was going to go like that, I would have had a last-minute sickness.
That's why I didn't even bother watching it, because I knew somebody would get the, oh God, they're really coming, and I can't explain it like how I want to because I'm really a pussy. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I knew it would go down,
Well, no, I mean, you can't mention the 2016 election without mentioning Hillary Clinton. Right, the DNC got caught cheating, admitted they got cheated. You know what I mean? They're cheating. This isn't like that part isn't even like up for discussion anymore, right? There were people that had to step down because they got caught cheating over and over and over again. That is not even up for debate. But yet, you didn't mention it not once. Like, they act like it didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about rigging an election, from their side during the primary. But we're not going to talk about that.
No,
we're really talking about collusion, election and all this, but we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. So colluding with the Russians, bad. Colluding with everybody else, good. I just don't understand. Like, name a person the Clintons don't collude with, and they do real deal colluding. They bring strippers and blow.
Oh yeah, they had plans for the Sudan when they were with 2 warlords. They were betting on who was going to win, so they get the diamond mines.
Yeah, I mean, we can never elect. I just want to make that clear. We can never elect them. All right, guys, we can never elect people like that.
Yeah, they both told both warlords, whoever wins will fund you, and we get 10% of the land, but we get to own the diamond mines. Whoever wins,
Yeah, I'm sure they would just whoever wins, bring me a diamond and make sure it's the bloodiest. I want to make sure 2 slaves had to fight to the death for it before you brought it to me. soaked in the blood of rare elephants. Wow, and like that's not collusion. You can sit and talk to two warlords about how they're gonna split up a slave-ran diamond mine in Central Africa.
Well, no, what they did is to make it all legal in Mumbo Jumbo. They had their somebody that they had on their campaign trail, who was a civilian, do all of the footwork for them. They did it through the Clinton Foundation, which is a slush fund. And so their name only paid the mediator. They didn't actually pay anybody else. And
okay,
so the money, yeah, you know what
illegal,
I mean.
But that sounds like it's illegal, like slave diamond trade with more steps. Like that just sounded like you added another step.
Yeah, they added another step, so it's not exactly illegal. You know what I mean? It's like that gray area where you know it's illegal, but there's nothing you can really do about it.
You ever notice how it only seems super gray to them? Because that didn't seem all that gray to me. It sounded like you had your boy go talk to two warlords over a diamond mine. I don't see how having your buddy do it makes it that much better. Like, everybody's got to count Ciati. That doesn't make it any less evil. Yeah, I think that might be a distinction we need to make when they ask, well, it's not illegal. Yeah, I didn't say it was illegal. I said it was evil. Like, you're answering me with the wrong answer for the question. I said it was evil, not illegal. Most evil shit's pretty legal.
Well, I mean, the trick is always, especially the corporate world, is to make it look like it's just part of some business, and then it's not, and then you can, fill it under corporate law. It's just like, well, that really, it may not have been ethically correct, but it wasn't illegal,
Yeah, in fact, I specifically wrote this law to make sure it wasn't.
Yeah, let's see. So it was bad, but it's still okay.
Terrible. Yeah, so that happened. Like, you kind of, every week when you watch this, like, dog and pony show go around, you're like, so, yeah, that happened. Another corrupt politician gave a speech on national TVs, pretty much spread a bunch of lies one way or the other, just the normal American political system.
Yeah, it's always uplifting, when the most corrupt guy gives me a speech on ethics, lectures me about ethics.
Oh, what, like Joe Biden?
Yeah, for instance.
So, and we were on Joe Biden's Twitter account earlier today. So this jackass gets on there and posts about the death penalty, right? That DOJ tried to
reinstate.
Did reinstate the death penalty today. And, he came out with this quick, we have to stand up against the death penalty, right? So we posted the video of him pushing his crime bill and him literally saying, we're pushing the death penalty for 51 crimes, right? In black and white. The reason that they're pushing the death penalty is on the back of his crime bill. And, like, he's the first person to it's popular to come out against it, so all the other Democrats, you should have just kept your fucking mouth shut, man.
Exactly.
Like, you wrote, there should never, if you come out and, like fervently come out against something and you're not immediately prepared to, like, apologize profusely, just keep your mouth shut. Yeah. Like, you wrote the bill. Keep your fucking mouth shut. Like, Joe...
You got to remember that was a lie from like 20, 30 years. You got to remember how long he's been around. He can't keep all them lies straight.
Well, maybe, but, like, people are acting... I was like, yeah, it was a bill he wrote in, like, 1979. I was born in 1982. I had to live through that fucking nightmare. Right? Like, I was a teenager at the fucking heap of it, right? I was the person that he was calling a super predator that made your friends and family and fucking, neighbors deathly scared of you, that you're some murderous drug-dealing monster, right? That's pumping hip-hop music and stealing all the jobs, right? I don't know what the fuck they were on. But, like, we had to live through that nightmare, and then he's going to come at me as an adult, right, and act like I didn't live through that. I'm the person that he was talking about. Right? It was my friends that he put into prison. It was my friends that he wanted to have executed.
Well, he's a Democrat. He loves you.
Yeah, I'm not down with that kind of love. I didn't. Yeah, I don't know what kind of family he grew up in, but that's not love in my book. Oh, I only hurt you because I love you. That sounds like an abusive relationship to me. Run.
I mean that's something you'd hear from like the evangelical right winger. I'm doing this for God, and I got to beat you.
Because
get
I
the
love
devil
you.
out of you. I mean, it's the same thing.
I do see that, and with that same kind of I'm doing this for your own good, right? You don't understand the problems, kind of like mindset. I understand what poison water tastes like. I'm good. I understand what that looks like. I know what wars for profit look like. I understand what a corrupt fucking politician looks like. I'm good.
I mean, they're all corrupt, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's one or two, maybe 3. I'm really banking on 1. I'm hoping there's 1.
1 to 2 that aren't,
One,
maybe.
I made some mistakes. I've been wrong before. I'm really Bernie man. You guys know I don't hide it. I'm a huge Bernie supporter. Bernie, don't let us down, man. Don't do that to us again. You cheated on me once, right? Like, I'm a forgiving guy, but come on, baby, don't cheat on me again.
It's always easier the second time around.
Nah, I'm out. I'm packing my shit and getting the fuck out of here. Like, to be honest, right? If Bernie does pull a jumps out and supports Warren or God forbid Biden, I think I'm taking Trump's advice. I'm out. Like, I'm leaving.
I've been saying that for a quick minute. If Trump gets reelected, I'm seriously debating on leaving the country. Like, I don't.
Yeah. If it's look, I think it's time to go.
I know my relatives. I know my relatives got the shorthand. When Hitler came into power. I understand that, but I'm a little wiser now. I'm thinking really bad things. With USA right now.
Yeah, you want to be the Jewish guy that left like 5 years before, like exactly. The dude that saw it coming. Like the guy was out there selling bagels, right? Saw the Reichstag go up in flames. They're like, all right, guys, I'm out. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I figure I'll stop by again like 1950. No, but I mean, there is the fact that you hope, but you don't. It's politics. Like, at the end of the day, you can like your politician and support what they're doing and hope that they do it the best, work for the campaign, but realize they're politicians, right? You can't trust one of them.
I mean, all it takes is just a little bit of money,
or whatever. I don't know what it would. I don't know. I don't know what it would take. In Bernie's case, we're coming to that point again where there's only going to be one person that's going to get the nomination. My advice to Bernie is, if you don't get that nomination, leave. Take Tulsi Gabbard and get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they will win that election as an independent. In fact, my honest opinion is they would do better in our current environment stepping away from the two-party system altogether. There are plenty of people that are on the right.
Yeah, we
vote for him if he wasn't part of the Democratic Party.
We tried to dismantle the two-party system back in 2009, or was it 2012, when the Tea Party was established. But what happened, is the left and the right, they just ran them off, atypically, and they were dissolved in last month. So I don't have. When it comes to another political party, emerging as a top on any of the candidates that are running, I don't see it because of how much influence they have with lobbyists. That's why.
Honestly, both Trump and Bernie, I think, would be able to run without their party. Their allure has nothing to do with people aren't following Bernie because he's a lifelong.
Well, I would love it if politics, had no influence, with lobbyists or parties or affiliations and yada yada yada, but it kind of it's so integrated to the point where it's almost a joke now. It's like, if you're not on the left or if you're not on the right, you don't get voted into anything. So.
Well, you want to know the biggest joke?
we are moving to the point where it's not, you know, I know I use this for a lot of, you know, for a lot of things, but it's slowly getting out of their control, right? People feel what they, you know, talk about and share what they feel about the candidate that they're into, regardless of what the corporate media says. You know, how many polls have we went through with, you know, craziness on it? Biden's the most popular candidate of all time. Like, no, that's just blatantly not true. And although it was put on every single newspaper, news source, TV station, right, that you can name, right, nobody bought it. Nobody shared it. Nobody, not even a little bit.
Again, the biggest problem is that the third-party candidates do not get involved in the debates. They do not get any type of TV time on the debates, even if
that's
they.
by design. See, when the other guys.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's by design, and Jesse Ventura has brought that up multiple times, saying that the only way he would run independent is that if he was promised he's allowed to have TV time, because it's not, you're not going to win.
Well, I mean, Jesse's another one of those people that really, I think, could run outside. Now, I know he's
got some pretty weird views, but you know, honestly, like you know, I'm an anon. I don't support the right or the left. The only thing I give for Jesse Ventura is he does support using the Second Amendment to overthrow the government. I think that's brilliant. You know, that's going back to our roots.
Well, I mean, it's not. Look, you can't. The argument gets put into hunting and all of that. You know, our founding fathers were telling you that you have to have a way to fight back against tyrannical governments.
It's true.
That's what the Second Amendment is there for. You know, it has nothing to do with your hunting rights. It has nothing to do with that. It really is specifically
has to do with
in
political
there.
Power.
Now, their world was different than ours, right? You know, drones didn't exist. That wasn't an issue, right? You know, firing a laser at somebody or a rail device from space did not exist in their time. So I mean, there is things that our world has moved on for, but that has nothing to do with why it was put in the Constitution. And these are people that, you know, just came out of having to go through a violent revolution. Now, I think our mode to revolution is much more like what you saw in Puerto Rico. But again, that doesn't have to do with why it was put in there, right? Like they were warning you of what we're seeing around us.
Yeah, if you can do it in a civil manner, that's great. But if you can't, then
nobody fights fair.
I've been wrong plenty of times. I've dedicated my life to nonviolence, and that means that nobody gets hurt, right? That doesn't mean I'm not giving anybody any ideas, but that means that nobody gets hurt. That doesn't mean that you don't stop it by any way that you possibly can. Right? No, I mean, blocking streets, blocking railroad cars, you know what I mean? Do what you got to do it, right? Protest is protest. It's supposed to be uncomfortable for the oppressors. That's the point, right? But that's not saying that there may not come a point where that's not an option. That's why the Second Amendment was there. Tyrannical governments exist. Our government has a tendency to move towards tyrannical. I would argue that most governments do, if they're allowed to. If you give them the power to take your rights, if you give away your rights, fuck yeah, they'll take them.
Not only that, but corruption, it just spreads like a plague. If the higher echelons of government are corrupt, it spreads down to the little people.
Oh yeah, and there's some real changes that we need to make to our system to specifically limit the powers of our government, in surveillance, in use of violence, in use of mercenaries and police forces. I mean, there are definitely some changes that need to be made.
Well, that's the beauty of it. See, allegedly they've made changes in their secret courts that you don't get to know about that have permitted all this, but you don't get to see it.
Yeah, that's not going to work out for me.
Ironically, Trump, there was a headline today on Drudge that Trump has expanded big government more than any other president.
Nobody expands government like the Republicans do.
Yeah,
the Democrats expand
new agencies, and he talked about draining the swamp. You know what he actually did? He made the swamp a bigger fucking swamp. Like,
it's bigger.
He kept on digging.
Yeah, it's the swamp with red tide now.
Yeah, Trump and the Democrats, Republicans, most of them too. It's a bipartisan agreement that they've given up on the deficit and they don't care about the budget. They're just like, fuck it, it's out of control. there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, we don't even know where the money's going from, where it's coming from, or where it went at this point. I know there was a little bit of talk there for a minute about auditing the federal government again, and that went away super quick.
Well, Trump doesn't know Assange. I mean, look, he can't build a wall. He didn't lock up Hillary. He can't, he doesn't rember Assange.
Which I'm surprised. Like, wait,
whatever,
why
man.
where is this investigation? You know what I mean? Like, I don't really understand why the investigation into Hillary at all hasn't happened. Just into the games that were played during the election, manipulating the media, all of that.
I mean, there was a FBI agent, like senior FBI agent, who was investigating the Clinton Foundation, who just turned up dead.
Made it suicide, right? Like,
of course. Of course he did.
And then also his sister was like charged with battery against her boyfriend or something like that. Assault against her boyfriend. I don't know, but I mean, it's those types of things that are just like coincidental. I mean, yeah, I guess she could have committed battery on her boyfriend, but for the fact that she committed battery on her boyfriend and then her brother, who's a senior FBI agent investigating the Clinton Foundation, turns up dead from suicide.
That seems super weird. But it's just, look, come on, guys. Like, you can't put every single person around the Clintons that turns up dead through suicide, robberies, car accidents, plane accidents.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, I mean, you can't put all of those on on the Clintons, right? At least one of those was an accident, maybe.
I'll give you that. Yeah,
yeah, I'll give you that. At least one. Only, yeah.
One of those was an accident. I mean, on the one where it's all like, okay, so I get that you tried to plan it as a robbery, but you didn't even they didn't even steal his wallet. Like, what's the fucking point?
Never mind that the documents come up missing from the Clintons over the years, like fucking dozens of times, like Whitewater documents came up missing.
It doesn't matter.
I'm sorry, not Whitewater. It was.
If there is corruption going on, the Clintons are one step away. You can't mention a like story about corruption and not have the Clintons being one step away.
Well, you see, Clinton starts with a C, and corruption starts with a C. Like,
we should, if they didn't defund PBS and we still had Sesame Street on, that would be my. It's privately funded now. I think LeVar Burton's paying for it himself. But
C is for corruption.
Yeah, C is for Clinton. Clinton's for corruption.
B is for.
Did you say E is for Epstein?
No. B. As in Monica Lewinsky. B. What would that be for?
Ooh. I was going for banking bailouts, but yeah, BJ's in the Oval Office is fine.
Blow.
It's still even now, like we are 30 years down the line, and Bill Clinton's dick is still getting our country into trouble. Epstein gets caught, next thing out, very next thing up. Here's all the pictures with Clinton, no doubt.
Well, I will say that what the Clintons have done that might be a plus is show just how corrupt America is. I mean, even third world shithole countries go after their presidents and vice presidents and officials when they're corrupt, but we don't do that anymore.
Well,
it seems from before, right? From the Diamond Mine, it seems that even the actual corrupt warlords in the world, right, look up to the Clintons. Like, what, when you're a young drug, or warlord just starting out, what are your aspirations? Someday I want to be as corrupt as the Clintons.
Yeah, really. I mean, that's about it. Well, when you can use the Pentagon to start ISIS, you're at the top of the pyramid, man. I mean, that's about it. And it's it off like, well, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, you haven't really made it until you've got your own terrorist organization. I mean, that's how you're at the top.
Well, Anonymous is declared
and pass it off as a proxy war against
organization
somebody you
at
don't
one
like. You just say, well, hey, yeah, it's not right, but we had to do it.
Well, I mean, that's what they've been doing over period.
Come on, man. Gaddafi was a bad guy. Gaddafi was a bad guy.
Well, you got to remember, hey, now Gaddafi was a good guy when we needed him. Was it 69 or whenever he took over? Gaddafi was our guy. He was a good guy then.
Well, yeah, but he quit. He removed himself from the money system and started gold and gave all his people health care. He's a fucking bastard. All right.
Yeah, you have to
keep free housing. Yeah, that's all documented real shit. That's real
I mean,
shit.
look, he was a horrible person, like a dictator on top of it. But I mean, yeah, stabilizing his entire country.
He wanted to bring in the gold dinar within Africa. So I mean, can't be that bad.
Oh yeah, he was killed immediately after that.
Yeah, he did actually wanted to do that gold dinar. Yeah, he was making meetings with other African countries to introduce this whole gold dinar thing. Yeah, and then he was, of course, invaded.
I like how
Iraq was invaded too. After
I like how he would only talk to Condoleezza Rice. Even when he gave his speeches directly to Condoleezza Rice. Hilarious.
Yeah.
He loved him some Condoleezza Rice. Well, hey, it's just like Saddam. Saddam was a good guy when during the Iranian-Iraq war, he was our guy.
Yeah,
it shows you how fortunes change.
Literal chemical weapons to go to a war with fucking Iran.
And there's all those pictures of Rumsfeld in Baghdad with him from what back? Yeah, I think it was the 80s.
Yeah, that's when he sold the chemical weapons to him. And then we point at the chemical weapons when he uses them, we're the good guys who sold them to him. Whatever, dude.
Yeah, the Americans already brought Saddam to power in 1963, and they removed the old communists from the Iraq government. Not many people know that they actually had a communist government, right, in Iraq. 1963, they were removed by the Americans. The Baath Party took everything over and against Iran. Yeah, like you guys are saying. Sure.
Yep. And the best part is that years later in the 2000s, that they wrote up a fake doctored report that was the Downing Street report that came from the UK, and basically what they said was that Saddam had weapons of mass destruction, and no shit, he had weapons of mass destruction, but did he get rid of them because he was given them by the U.S. under Ronald Reagan after his election?
Which has to be a weird thing to do. He's got weapons of mass destruction. How do you know? I've got the receipts. He put them on his MasterCard.
We have the manifest. We know where the factories where they ship from. Oh, okay, You're the good guys. That's right. I forgot.
I was the guy that delivered them. I mean, it was Rumsfeld. How do you know he's got? And I think that was part of it that people don't talk about. I really do think that they thought he still had them.
I think also that the other NATO countries actually thought they still had them because they knew the Americans sold them to Iraq.
Yeah,
thinking when they claim when they claim they have these weapons and say oh yeah, we remember, our Secret Service knows, and the Americans sold it to Saddam. So
yeah. But in the same regard, I mean, they faked a report. They took academic documents and copy pasted them together. And forming the Downing Street memo. And then they used that as a pretense to basically pitch the invasion of Iraq.
Which, I mean, even saying that, so we can pitch, you shouldn't be selling a war, right?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, so that's why these intelligence agencies make the big bucks, for they come up with shit like that you can see through,
Oh, it's they'll spend, I mean, just insane amounts of money in pretty much an advertising campaign for their latest war, and then it's completely undone by, reality.
Yeah,
normally just straight up reality.
The funniest thing was the Downing Street memo, when it first came out, you could have downloaded it, threw it into Word, and then you could have went through the metadata and you could have just saw that it was copy pasted from this site, it was fucking hilarious
just look up the keywords and see how many fake news articles that it came from.
No, I mean, it came from literal academic reports, from people just writing academic like pages in various different academics, and that's where they said that they got their intelligence. They got their intelligence from literal academic documents. It was
well, and if you heard like their guy, the yellow cake uranium thing, right, from Africa, which is pretty much where they put out a thing saying anybody that says that you know where there's yellow cake uranium, right, we'll give you a couple $1 million. That was their like investigative tool. And then just wrote it up like without any real information behind it. Like, I saw yellow cake uranium going to Iran. What's yellow cake uranium? Nothing. That's just what you had in the ad, man. I'm telling you what you told me to say. What the fuck do you want from me?
They're just not good at their propaganda. I'm really disappointed. We have these huge organizations like the CIA, all these billions. Who actually knows what their budget is? Come up with crap like that. It's disappointing. I mean, if I'm going to listen to propaganda, I want it to be good.
Yeah, the 1950s propaganda, right, was at least catchy. It had like that movie quality voice. Go get 'em. That kind. I really like that. I really like that style of propaganda.
It was very authoritative. Yeah, they were telling you it's like get under that desk.
What about the propaganda they used within the national anthem video like years ago? I think it was in like the 50s. They literally.
I always imagine the Captain anthem. America like kind of version of fucking propaganda. That's my favorite.
No, it was funny as hell. They had it was a war. It was like a war propaganda thing. But what they did was they masked it within the actual national anthem, and the subliminals were actually in the video.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah, and they like encouraged war and stuff like that. Yeah, just like stuff like that.
Yeah. All right, Patriots, make sure to turn the volume up high and look directly into the screen. And the rockets invade Iran. Red glare. Watch out, Ivan. Yeah, yeah, you don't want those dirty communists coming over here and stealing your freedom. I worry about the communists here coming and stealing my freedom.
Because that's our job. We're the CIA.
Yeah, you don't want some foreign country coming in here and pushing you around. I'm pushing you around.
Oh, that's what CIA stands for. Communist invading America.
I've always put that C word as something else, but we won't.
Oh, no, the Cocaine Importation Agency.
That too.
I'm pretty sure that's their number one funding source at this point, isn't it? Like they lost all that money on weed now and damn near destroyed the drug war. Now they're really focusing on coke, heroin.
I mean, they were focusing on coke back in Mena, Arkansas, when Clinton was running that operation for George H.W. Bush.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Because if there's
that's actually a secret, but yeah, well.
If there's one thing that old George loved, it was some cocaine.
Yeah, that whole operation was ran from George H.W. Bush when he was when he was the president, and then when Clinton was the governor of Arkansas.
That had to be the weirdest fucking conversation of all time. I need you to get rid of these drugs for me. Oh no, it was Bush. It was Bush Senior. Bush Senior.
Yeah, it was Bush Senior. Yeah.
Don't drop it. Don't drop it. Wouldn't be prudent. You don't have my money.
W was just dipping into the product and hurting their profits. But
I've told you already,
that's
W.
Real information.
You got to stay out of my stash. Daddy's stash wouldn't be prudent.
Well, what they were actually doing was trading weapons for drugs.
Of course. What else do you? I mean, what else do you trade for drugs?
Then they were taking the drugs and they were selling them back off on the street. So that's what they were doing. They were trading. I believe at that point in time it was Iran-Contra going on at that time?
Yeah,
that was. I mean, before Fast and Furious, that was one of our greatest mistakes.
Well, that's
we got all these guns and all these drugs. Why don't we start trading them?
Well, they've been doing that for years. They've been doing that. They did that with the oh my God,
Mujahideen.
Thank you. Yes, they did it with them. Yeah, they did it with them. They traded drugs for weapons. That's how they were doing the transactions, because the guerrillas, in the case of the Taliban, in the case of the Contras, they didn't have money, so what they were doing was trading drugs for weapons. And then they were like, oh, well, this works. This works well for us.
I don't know, the CIA agent worked that. It was all like, hey, I got to get rid of these guns somehow. I don't have any guns, but I have drugs. We need drugs.
That's the crypto of the dark world and the gangs is, cash, drugs, and guns. That's pretty much it. That's all the crypto you need.
It just seems sad that all we sell is drugs and guns and can't seem to make a profit.
Well, that's what Gary Webb was investigating, and also
said was investigating. How did that turn out?
Well, yeah, Gary Webb was murdered. He had he was shot to death.
Yeah, and, he was.
The other guy who was investigating that was Michael Rupert, and then the whistleblower on that is Michael Riconosciuto, who talks about how they used basically drugs to funnel weapons as a currency.
See, that should not be legal for our government to do.
Yeah, I don't think it's legal. No, I think it's highly above the law, and that's why it's so secretive and compartmentalized.
Yeah, kinda. I mean, it's legalized in the fact it's compartmentalized in our government. Right? So, I mean, these are things that people, our elected officials, sit in a committee and think are a good idea that they can do. They don't have to follow any sort of law or, I don't know, human decency because they're in the government? I don't understand. If I set up a drug cartel that trades guns for drugs, then I get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, but they protect each other. That's the thing. Like, everybody's involved with it, and then they protect each other. It's the same thing with this, like, Epstein stuff, we
got to go over that. I was kind of hoping for the
child trafficking stuff. Like, you wonder why Epstein, is
he's supposedly
hurt.
He supposedly tried to commit suicide yesterday.
I saw reports from mainstream media saying that. I think the mainstream media is finally actually getting how big this guy is, because they said that he was hurt and injured, and that it was unconfirmed whether it was suicide or if it was somebody in the prison that did it to him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was probably a weak attempt at suicide in hopes that he gets moved out of general population.
Yeah, that's what I also thought. I also read that there was the third option, that he did it to get moved away from the current.
Yeah, because he's injured with marks around his neck. His cellmate, isn't in any investigation. They got cameras and all sorts of shit on there. So, I'm not exactly sure what the story is, but
right, yeah. Well, I mean, if he was attacked in prison, they would have video of it, but somebody would still have to leak that video within the prison for that to get out, because Well,
normally we do have people that are close to him. So I mean, we do have contacts inside of the prison, relatively close. I mean, close enough that we, if he's taken out, we'll know about it within a day. Before the corporate media knows about it.
Well, you got two possibilities there. To me, it's like one, it's either the truth and they're trying to kill him, or the other would be to fake something, fake your death, and then you slip out and you're still living somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably that's well within the things that these, knowing the people that are involved in this. This is a billionaire that doesn't work or do anything, that traffics young children to the rich and powerful. That is where his money came from.
Actually, model agencies, there's a whole list of them that were fucking involved in this. And I have a document that was sent to me that's been circulating around, where it shows the names of the model agencies that are involved. And there's a whole list of like actual court documents and the document numbers and all that stuff. And the people actually connected to Epstein, and it's a huge document. But there was model agencies that were involved. Les Wexner. That's the guy who owns Victoria's Secret, and he was friends with Epstein. So this whole thing can bring down massive.
The names that are on his names that are in his black book, and I know we posted it and we put it on a couple other places, but the names that are on his black book, some of it's kind of disheartening. You know what I mean? When you see the people and how hardcore they had fought against, exposing all of this, or even acknowledging that it happened. Are all on his black book, are all people that were, close friends with unknown child molester. Yeah, I mean, like this, it does go all the way to the top, but it is interesting that you're not hearing very much about it, for the people that are involved.
Just a quick theory, Terrence. What if this guy is actually so influential that his relocation process can be rigged, and that he actually wants to be relocated because he knows certain people at the new location, like that they will like give him a location where he knows everyone in prison, where he has like control or something?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, he does have a price on his head. He's a child molester in prison, right? So that is there. He probably has a price on his head from some of the people that are in his, that are at risk of getting in trouble here. Whether they directly do it or just your position, people will make decisions to your benefit. So, you didn't actually, the Clintons didn't make a phone call and said, kill him, but somebody that handles your business takes care of it for you. You hear what I'm saying?
Yep. That's how this works. It works through third party type of thing. They wouldn't order a hit on him. It would be somebody who knows them would.
That takes care of your problems for you. So I mean, that is also definitely something to be concerned about. This guy got off already once for being a known child smuggler.
Now get this. Here's some more info that apparently Epstein bought what's Greater St. James Island like in 2016, and they're doing all kinds of construction on there. In fact, Virgin Islands gave them a stop work order in December, and they've refused to stop working, and it's a $10,000 a day fine, and they don't seem to give a shit.
Yeah.
And
construction's still going on.
He also paid off the Florida Police Department. It was like $128,000 that was sent to them, and after he was convicted of child trafficking, there are reports where he was doing it after the fact that he was convicted and out of prison.
I'm sure he was. I'm sure some of his operations are going on right now.
This year. Yeah, he was doing it up until this year. And there's witnesses at the airport and everything saying that they saw young girls getting off of his plane.
Oh yeah, and we talked to one guy that works fucking on and off of the island, and like it was kind of disheartening talking to this dude because he was pretty much like, we saw them get off of the plane and everybody thought like, wow, those girls look really, really young, but he was a good tipper, so it's okay. What the fuck, man?
Right, yeah, that's exactly what it. Yeah, that's what it is. It's like, it looked to the other way. Here's fucking $500. Look the other way.
And
well, I mean, look it wasn't to me enough to be okay with him unloading a plane full of children to rape for the weekend. But it seems that he did pay it for the New York Police Department, though. $100,000. Come on, guys. What's your annual budget?
Yeah, he paid the New York Police Department.
Yeah, but that's nothing. You guys let a child molestation ring go on for $100,000.
It just shows you how easy they can get bought.
That's not even a whole. That's like half a fucking. How much does a police cruiser cost? 60, 70?
Yeah, but it's not it's going to the higher ranks of the police. It's not going to the lower fucking investigative officers. It's going to the chief of police and people like that who can shut down an investigation.
Run his campaign for re-election, because a lot of those are like elected positions.
Yeah, well, that's true too. Yeah, I mean that's 100% true, and it's also like what they're doing by paying off the higher echelons of a police department is saying, if the investigation comes your way, you just kill it.
Yeah, I'm such an asshole because I would totally be like, yeah, man, fucking make the deposit, and then as soon as that check clears, I'd be like, yeah, hands behind your back. But I paid you. I know, but you're a piece of shit child molester, so I'm taking your money. You're under arrest.
Yeah, I would be like, you're under arrest. Yeah, I'd be like, you're under arrest for bribery. You're under arrest for child molestation.
Oh no, fuck that! You're under arrest for child molestation. I'm taking your money, motherfucker. I'm taking your shoes. What money? Nice watch, bitch.
That's a good one.
It's very selective. That's, it's like, it has to be certain people permitted. You can do the same crime. One guy, if he, for the same bribes and everything, one guy will do the time, but if you're higher up family, you're in government or whatever, well, then you slide.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can get to the point where you're running an entire rape island, right, that imports children from all over the world by plane and get away with it for years.
Yeah, it's absolutely fucking insane.
How long have we been talking about the island on this show? I mean, my entire time on the show, I'd say we bring it up at least once.
Oh man, that's been known. That's 20 years now. Come on,
you have to understand that it started in Franklinville and then it moved to Sandusky, Second Mile, and then when they got bored with Second Mile, and that's too obvious, they moved to a fucking island with Epstein.
I couldn't be that guy. Like, as I'm sitting at the airport watching Jeffrey Epstein walk by me with fucking 12 underage kids. Oh man, your plane ain't getting off the ground.
Well, and here you go. See, little St. James is getting too hot, but I'll just hop over to the other island, do all this construction, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's just like, well, there he goes. I guess he's going to build an even bigger island now just to show you he can.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, how big this is and how many people are connected to it that aren't shit, that just, you barely hear about it being talked about at all. And especially not to deal, and I'm not harking specifically on the Clintons. There is a long list of people that are involved in this, but they are definitely involved in it. Clinton's picture is on the wall in his molestation mansion in New York. On the wall, his picture, a painted portrait of Bill Clinton. When you think about it, I guess it's underneath a couch, right? There are people that have been raped, children that have been raped under Bill Clinton's picture. Think about that.
That's disgusting.
It's all right, Terrence. It's going to be all right.
That's exactly what I fear that he said to somebody.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the reality of it, and.
The guy, dig this story. So the lawyer that got him off the first time, I think in Florida, right? When he got away with this the first time, the lawyer immediately left his representation, left the courthouse that day, drove to his rape mansion and got a massage that he assures us was with his underwear on, which is probably the weirdest thing to say in an interview.
Yeah,
and then goes on to say, well, there may have been underage children in there, but not in the part that I was in, and I kept my pants on, or my underwear on. He didn't have his pants on.
I kept my underwear.
Which immediately says you did not have your underwear on. Now, the only people that say that are people that didn't have their underwear on. That's like what happens when you caught two teenagers in their fucking room. Well, we had our clothes on. Bullshit. I know what goes on in there. It's a rape mansion. Right? And when you see this lawyer, he gives off the creepiest. If you think Epstein gives off the creepy vibe, this guy gives off a creepy vibe.
Well, Alan Dershowitz has actually protected a lot of people for various different crimes within Hollywood.
Oh yeah, he seems like the guy you go to after you just raped a child. He'll get you off, no problem. You won't even serve time, brother. Don't worry about it.
Nasty.
Easy. You can leave the country, go back and forth your island. No stress, man.
This is literally the 2019 version of the Conspiracy of Silence, where they bought up copies of the documentary film Conspiracy of Silence, which showed the Franklinville ring, and it also showed the DC ring, and how they were connected, actually. I mean, this is our version of that happening right now because it's so many people involved. And in the past, they've killed investigations. They killed the Sandusky investigation. They killed the Franklinville investigation. Are they going to kill this investigation? Can they still do it? Because he's already been investigated once. The only logical solution now is to either kill him or fake his death and move him somewhere else, or
I mean, sometimes it gets put into the. I mean, he's not the first or only child molester to get off like this. And even as far as you'd think that that's not happening anymore. If it's not dealing with child molesting, but look at Michael Cohen, right? Guilty of treason, supposed to be in jail. He's walking around, chilling at the beach, doing his thing. Give a speech at Congress every once in a while, you're all good. So it isn't like they don't let people out all the you know what I mean? That it's it's not that they do anything about it. It just disappears. It doesn't get news coverage. Anonymous Bites Back talks about it, and CNN doesn't.
Yeah.
Is that silence suddenly?
Yeah, I know there was awkward silence going on.
Terrence dropped out.
Terrence, did you drop out?
Oh, did he? Yeah.
Hey, so Elmo, maybe real quick, you can mention the August 15 episode if you want.
All right. Yes, there is going to be a Proud Boys and others prayer rally in Portland, Oregon on August 17th. Obviously there's big Antifa elements up there, and they're going to be present, so we're expecting a fairly big fight actually. If the police, whether the police do their job or not, there's probably still going to be some good fights. But anyway, for our show on the 15th, we're going to bring back Mike Bluehair and kind of do a prelude to it, and then what he expects as a cop watcher that's been on the street now probably 5 to 7 years. So we're expecting a good show, and an even better show probably 2 days later in the city.
Yeah, was he also planning to stream that or something like?
I don't know that Mike streams. He'll have good videos later usually. He has a few, 2 or 3 other guys that usually go with him, but yeah, I don't know if like Ford Fisher or We Are Change, any of those guys are going to be there. But there's usually a live stream. Somebody's usually got a live stream up there.
Probably Tim Pool, maybe. He will probably be there.
Yeah, we can ask him.
Yeah.
The thing is, people are starting not to go to these rallies because they realize how dangerous they are, and they're literally putting their life on the line going to these rallies because the fights that are happening between Antifa and the Proud Boys or actual real white supremacists, that's a dangerous situation. You can get put in the crossfire of that.
Yeah, well, this time it is actual patriots, ex-military, veterans, I think 3%ers and stuff that they all want to visit these rallies, give a united message against, Antifa, so to speak.
That's you get the truth behind the scenes. That's really it. They don't like what happened roughly 3 weeks ago, I think, when Antifa kind of went crazy during an event up there and pretty much got away with attacking a gay journalist and some other older folks. So it's somewhat of a payback for that, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't. I don't
Yeah, okay. Well, we distanced ourselves from any of that violence too on the show. I mean, we already said it like publicly. We don't want to be like involved with all this violence. I support any fight against fascism, of course, but the violence against other people is really not the way. And I think the government even likes it. They want you to attack other citizens, and they put like new limits, new restrictions on you. So it's not going to help.
Yeah. That's the big point that nobody seems to realize is that when you're attacking other civilians, you're literally doing the government's job of division.
Yeah.
And the fascism is coming from the government. It's not coming from a fellow civilian. So, I mean, when you're attacking other civilians, what are you really doing?
Yeah, and now you already saw it. You saw Antifa attacking them, people on the street. That gay journalist that Andy NGO, I think that was his name. And the first response you see is the government saying we will ban all masks at protests. So yeah, obviously we can't support this. We wear the masks and we are peaceful. We don't like million mask march. Never any fight. Nothing. Why should our masks be banned now? And
well, wait. Now there's probably fights, but those fights are caused by COINTELPRO that are inside the crowds causing.
Oh yeah, well I've never here at least in my country we never had like a fight. I know in London sometimes there are some fights, but it's like nothing like this. Nothing like yeah.
Nobody throwing a fucking cement slushy at somebody's head.
Yeah, that was disgusting.
Say that again.
The guy that when they were throwing the cement, cement.
Oh yeah, that's nasty. Well, see, I mean, but the problem is when groups like that, and honestly, I look at a lot of this Antifa, especially in Portland. You're like the troops, if you want to call them the Democrat-approved, street troops that they kind of associate with. They don't seem to get a lot of trouble for their activities. If they want to run the streets, it's okay. Anybody else, well, then they can beat on you.
Yeah. So, and I saw someone on Twitter writing like about the origin of throwing these milkshakes and stuff, and I didn't really trust this guy, so I was looking into it, and so I've read different articles about like the history of it, and it seems that the concept of throwing milkshakes at people is coming from the Teddy Boys in the UK, a fascist group actually, and they threw these young fascists from in the 50s, 1950s. They threw milkshakes at like black politicians and immigrants.
Really?
That's what this origin is from. I'm not sure if these people realize this, but that's just...
yeah, throwing pies, throwing tomatoes. I think the cream pies were a thing for a while, maybe 10 years ago.
Oh, a big thing back in the 30s. Too.
Oh, the egging was there for a little bit. Remember that kid egged the Australian? I think he was a PM or something, or MP.
They're saying that these Teddy Boys in the UK literally did it to like whiten the faces of these black politicians. Like it is like one of the most racist things. Like throwing milkshakes at immigrants and black politicians.
So are we against the milkshake throwing or for the milkshake throwing?
I don't care so much, but if there's cement in it, that is.
Yeah, really, definitely don't like. I mean, that's the deal. Like nobody gets hurt.
It's still.
It is pushing the boundary for sure.
It's an assault. I mean,
Yeah, it's definitely an assault. I definitely will get that, and I would not do it myself or urge other people to do it. But fuck, it is hilarious to watch a Nazi take a milkshake to the face.
Yeah. But I do know, like in the Netherlands, we had the politician Pim Fortuyn. He was like a right-wing politician, and he was going to be our prime minister. 1 month or something before he was shot and killed by animal rights activists, left-wing group. They killed him. But 1 month before that happened, they threw actually a pie in his face. They did something similar, and we already knew something was going to happen to him. And then he was killed. And this was the one who was arrested for it, and he's still in jail for it. Was Volker van der Graaf, and he was a left-wing activist.
I mean, I believe it. 100%. I would believe it. I mean, we can't get drawn into our enemy's tactics, and we have to be super careful that we're not being manipulated by the other side to give them excuses to be violent, which happens more times than not. So I would be extremely careful with all of, you know what I mean, with going down that road at all.
Our form of activism is just educating people. Like we try to like deliver as much reliable information as we can every time, so people can actually decide for themselves what they will do, and they know what to vote for or how to do different, organize other things. So,
and anytime you can debate one of these guys, anytime you can get one of the fascists that thinks he's Billy Badass, that'll give you a chat, that'll debate you, debate them on camera. Like the best thing that you can do is make them look like fools, right? Take that power away from them. Where that doesn't, when you use violence, that doesn't always have that effect. Most times it doesn't. They'll hide behind an army of heavily armed police officers. Right? It's not like they're, it's not like they're honorable people, right? So, that doesn't really get you where you want. Now they are surrounded by cops and are able to spit their hatred, where the goal is to get them in a real debate, because those ideals fall apart as soon as they're given real debate. You look like a fucking idiot every time, right? So I think that has a much bigger effect. But on the same note, I don't really lose a lot of sleep out of Nazis catching milkshakes. But make sure it's just a milkshake, and make sure you're not going down, you're not being used by the other side to be violent, right? They're using that as an excuse. Why did the police show up with machine guns or mace everybody or any of this shit? Well, this is why you got used.
Well, yeah, I don't think anybody's against throwing tomatoes or milkshakes or anything that's going to be non-harmful. Like it's a difference throwing a milkshake and a milkshake that's filled with cement.
Yeah. That your intent is to hurt somebody, and I don't think that's going to have I know it's not going to have the effect that you want.
And make sure this is only thrown at Nazis and not against people with a different political opinion, because at some point it becomes like a symbol of being oppressed.
Yeah, and look, there is a huge difference between having a difference in opinion, a difference in policy, a difference in worldview, right, than being a racist, than being a Nazi. And I don't think that that the difference is hard to tell the difference between the two, right? Shit, most of the time Nazis will tell you they're fucking Nazis, right? So I mean that's if you're going out and it's just your goal to go out and hurt people and you're just looking for somebody to hurt, you need to find something else to do, man. Find a hobby, get a girlfriend.
Yeah, these National Socialists, Nazis, they don't shut up about their stuff. They think it's the best ideology. They just talk about it.
Yeah, but you notice they're not showing up to Klan rallies, right? No. Like you need the address or something.
I mean, there's not many of them around. I mean, honestly, I mean that's like an ideology. I mean, it's still out there, but I mean the numbers are so low.
The old school Klan, yeah, but I mean, you go to any city at any time, and you can find a white supremacist meeting. If you're looking for it, if that was your goal. Shit, I could, and I'm black.
I do think racism is really a problem in the U.S. I've read these investigations into like police reports, and that they're like shooting people with like a dark skin color faster than like I want to say white people. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it comes to it. A lot of it is training. You've got people like Joe Biden that have now convinced you that the young black man in front of you or brown person in front of you is a super criminal, right? A monster waiting to rape and pillage his way across your small suburban town, right? So there's a fear that they build inside of these guys. Then they'll train them where the targets that they're using, right, are young black people. So, racism exists, systemic racism exists, but, those things are normally, once exposed, are easy to identify, right? So, you see even that Antifa, recent, action, right? And then the only two people that they picked on are like some old guy and a lesbian journalist. Like that looked like bullying, you know what I mean? Like that really had nothing to do. You did not smash the Nazi fucking oppression, right? The racist oppressors in America by beating up on those two people for sure.
No, so target the fascists only then, and if you start targeting other political opinions, then you are actually becoming kind of like I don't want to say fascist directly, but you are denying democratic choices, and that is like fascism as a political ideology is opposed to democracy.
So, and that's the difference in debate. Look, you by beating someone down, you are not going to change their mind ever. Right? It's just not going to happen. You're not going to change other people's mind. You and someone else screaming at the top of their lungs, chucking shit back and forth at each other, right, is not going to change anything. Everybody goes home and feels like they did a good job, right? The only way to do it is to hit them directly. And if you can ever find a chance to debate people in wide open debate, it has a way bigger effect. And you ever get them to agree with you on it, that's it. That's over.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You might not just change their mind, you'll change their entire lives, right? They'll teach their kids completely different. Like I used to think one thing, and then I talked it out with this guy, and maybe I do need to look at a couple other things. Right? But what they're building there, what I see them building there, I don't see that going in the direction, and how it's being used around us. I don't see us getting a win out of it. I think that the Nazis, the white supremacists, the white nationalists, I think that they got more support out of those actions than against them, for sure.
Yeah, and also you aren't actually silencing them either, because they are already meeting at these places. We're not there. I mean, they have their own secret meeting places and stuff. They know exactly how to communicate with each other. You're not hurting them in any way with it. You're only censoring the rest of the world.
For the people that are actually fascists, right? Our government, our propaganda media system, right? You've got every single one of them now saying anti-fascist as a negative. People are scared of the word anti-fascist. If that doesn't say that you're doing something wrong, I don't know what was. Change y'all's name.
Stop beating people up.
People know that, we are actually fighting like against the fascism, in the sense like we fight against censorship, but we also fight against these companies like Facebook, who are like intertwined with the government to like destroy your privacy, censor you, work with secret servers, just like Nazi companies did in the 1940s. And we are already doing attacks against these fascists at the top.
And I would argue that ours are much more successessful. I would argue that they're much, if somebody, I know we've got some viewers that are Antifa, and I mean, look, we need to fight fascists, but we need it to be effective. And I think this is just, people lashing out, and it's not getting anything positive done.
Instead of random people beating up random people on the street.
And post in the thing, hey, this is our success. I would love to hear, what you would, out of what's been happening, what you would view as being successful. The operation, the time where you guys went and look, Seattle no longer has Nazi marches in it. That has definitely not happened.
Yeah, and if people doubt that we are with them, like
test.
We actually, we like I just said, we did actually do the attacks against the surveillance system, but we are also trying to defend free press, like Assange and other examples. We're doing everything to defend free press, because free press and free speech that comes with that is one of the primary defenses against oppressive regimes, fascism, or whatever oppressive regimes. We really need help with that. We did actually do that, not with beating up like other civilians, but we need to like defend against these people in power who are doing this, and they are doing more and more to restrict us. We're doing everything
I don't see them doing a lot against fascism. They're
test.
targets at the moment, seem to be more, based in racism. So I mean, fascism has to move into the government policy, or you're just a racist. So I mean, I would definitely like to see, they're energetic. There's a lot of people. They're willing to go out and protest and are relatively well organized. I would just like to see that energy go to a much more positive end. And that doesn't mean, go and stand up, go and block the road is an unbending wall on their the ways that they want to march. Any of those things. But right now you're putting yourself into a situation where, you've got, neo-Nazis surrounded by heavily armed police forces ready to kill on their behalf. And is that really where we're going? Because they will.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I am convinced that 99% of these people are of a goodwill, and they are real activists. They really want some change for the good. So that's just advice we can give, that we're actually trying to help, and we need help too with other things.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we really are in this together, and a lot of our opponents are the same opponents. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm not saying anti-racism protests are bad. I mean, anti-racism is fine, but then call yourself anti-racist. It's fine.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, your tactics have to be successful. And I think we've had a couple of really good, big protests and moments where they had the opportunity, win or lose. And I don't think that it came out as a win on our side. I think the other side got a lot of support and a lot of government protection and support. Like I said, I see, guys with swastikas on their arms and Nazi flags and all of that shit being protected by police forces because of those actions.
Yeah, and we're already seeing the first effects. We're seeing that they're now planning to ban masks at protests because masked people are suddenly violent. But we're also seeing that because they are already targeting other citizens with right-wing opinions, we see people on social media, on the left and on the right, being continuously censored because they're creating reasons for it. Like there's the whole hate speech thing, but there are many things they're actually using now, and it becomes very dangerous right now.
Yeah, it's definitely getting worse. I mean, the censorship is just. I mean, we're slowing us specifically down, but it just makes everything that we try to do and getting the word out that much harder. And I mean, this is being created, and it started with them allowing us allowing them to take down people from the right that you didn't like what they were saying. And now they're taking down any voice of dissension, anybody that's speaking out, anybody that doesn't have the same opinion or doesn't want to conform to their opinion, is being taken down. And it's one of those situations where it's all it's okay when it's them, but eventually it will be you. And then when they're the police shooting happens in your city, or the corrupt politician happens in your city, and nobody can speak out against it because you've given them the right to take away your free speech.
On that note, did you see that they want to create a bill where it would be prosecutable that if any former intel agent's name was ever used, that they could prosecute you for using their name?
Well, then you should really keep your intel agent's name secret.
Well, I mean, if they don't, but that's crazy, man. That's a whole new level of tyranny. Like, if
you just have to make sure to backdate. Like, I'll go with it. You can do that, but you need to backdate it. So when you gave away all those FBI or FBI agents' names to get back at political opponents, you should all be arrested immediately for it. Correct?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, fair enough, man. Definitely.
Fair enough. Let's arrest all the politicians. I like it. Round them.
right? Because that was the game, right? If if we didn't like what you were doing, then we'd release the names of a couple of your deep cover agents, and then and pay you back for it. So
so then now we can round them up and neuter and spade them. I mean, I like it.
I like that way.
Test.
Yeah, I would say, if long as your agents aren't doing anything like immoral and illegal, then we won't ever release any of their names. If they're involved in war crimes, then don't be involved in war crimes, would be my advice.
We could hear you, Tyler, by the way.
That was so bizarre. That was a cord problem. I was talking and nobody was listening. I was like, what the fuck is wrong?
He was talking all the time, but his mic wasn't working.
Did you just think Terrence was talking over you the whole time?
I thought Mark and you guys were talking over me. I was like, man, what is going on here? Like, I'm fucking talking and nobody's hearing me. What the fuck?
It's all good. I'll shut up.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I fixed it. It's just, I think it was either a cord or a driver hiccup, but
I didn't see your green thing on light up either, so I didn't know you were actually talking.
Yeah, I was talking.
Talking to yourself?
I was definitely talking to myself.
I get booted like constantly, and I'll be talking a good couple of minutes and then realize that there's no just the background noise that you can hear from everybody, breathing and talking and all of that crap. And I'll realize I'm talking to myself in a room with no connection. And it's normally when I'm at like the best part, I just get cut off.
Tonight you only dropped once, but yeah.
Well, I realized that when
I didn't come back in
OBS
talking about
Epstein,
working, so it didn't boot me again.
No, I realized that when OBS was flashing, my mic volume was flashing, but then I looked on Discord, but nothing's working. So I was like, do the old on-off approach, and then it might work. And then, just kick it a little bit, and it worked.
Hey, but is it possible that it did actually work at OBS or whatever?
Yeah, it was working.
It is actually on the stream.
Yeah, it wasn't working on OBS, so I unplugged my mic, plugged it back in. Then I saw the thing flashing up and down. So my volume levels. So I was like, okay, well then why isn't this one working? So it's not a driver problem. So then I unplugged it and then disconnected from the call, reconnected, and it worked. And I was like, okay, well I guess it's just maybe just a hiccup on a software level.
Okay, well you're back, and we still have 1.5 hours or something. So enough time to speak about that.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
What else do we have on the agenda?
Did we do the FSB hack?
I don't think so, because I went on to the Russia and Bulgarian hack.
Yeah.
Because we're not really sure if they're tied together or in any way.
The FSB hack was a contractor, right? It was like a company that works for the FSB. Does dirty jobs for them.
Yeah. It was a subcontractor, a company, as far as I can tell, called Sytech, Sytech.
Why does that sound familiar? Holy shit.
So I searched for that before because we're gonna read it a few days ago, and then I saw.
No, I remember hearing about Sytech in the early 2000s, and I don't remember why.
Well, I mean, even to find this info, the only people that have actually named the company in
it's NSA. I think it's an NSA contractor. That's from what I remember.
I found it in the USA. That was what I wanted to say.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like Stratford. That's why I think I remember it.
And I mean, it's a lot. So 7 terabytes, 7.5 terabytes.
Jesus.
And who released this?
That was the amount, how much information was in the hack, the leak afterward, was 7 terabytes of information taken.
That's a lot, man. That's a ridiculous amount.
Yeah, this company is super sketchy. So we are looking at some other.
It's Sytech, Cytech, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Probably a CIA.
I'm almost positive they're like an NSA subcontractor.
Yeah. Hold on, I got some numbers here. So yeah, we've got SciTech as NSA and Naval Intelligence Engineers.
I was right. I knew it.
That's crazy.
I knew that name sounded very familiar. They've been around for like I think almost 20 years.
That's nuts. Though. That's NSA attacking Russia. That's crazy.
Yeah, and that's. So if you remember and they've got a lot of like back end cellular stuff too, IDEN technology. So like when we first started integrating cellular phones, IDEN and IDEN, like lowercase I, uppercase DEN. If you guys know anything about like cell switching and all of that.
Not my specialty.
Yeah. So I mean, a bunch of like telecommunications technologies, and then seem to have moved on into. Yeah, that seems to be the deal. So right around 98, they seem to have moved into more clandestine NSA and naval intelligence work. Which is where this came from. It's interesting.
So there was this hacking crew called Zero Virus that hacked it, and they also defaced the company site and put like a big smiley on it, a smiley face.
Oh yeah,
on their WordPress site.
Yeah, something like that. But so the media isn't actually being fair about everything they're reporting, because the files that were hacked were about to work for since 2009 for the FSB unit 71330, but also for the fellow contractor Quantum. And there is some work like you have the Project Hope that was hacked, and it is like a project to investigate the topology of the Russian internet and how it connects to other countries' network. Now, the FSB doesn't need to research this. They already know it. They already know the topology of the Russian internet. They're the Russian Secret Service. So,
all right. Okay, I do have some more stuff for you guys here. So these are also the creators. I got 4 systems here that people may have heard of, right? There's the Rio system that me and Invisible Joe both recognize, right? So that's the command and control boxes, right? So the Battlefield command and control boxes, Battlefield communications. The Rio system, the military uses. They're the developers of that. The ADACS, which collects, records, and archives voice and data for agencies seeking law enforcement wiretap collection and analysis. So, like when it's just law enforcement ability to monitor. That's the machines that they use to wiretap you. Radius, which is a listening device
for radio servers.
Yeah, well, I mean, anything that's putting off like an RF signal, this thing will pick up. So radios, computers, smartphones.
Oh, radio. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, so it's like a little, like it's a listening box. And then this seems to be where we moved into telecommunications spying, and this may have been how they got some of this information, is the SmartBug software, which they also are the developers of. Converts smartphone application, enables law enforcement to monitor voice, video, and GPS locations transmitted from an undercover smartphone device. So it uses an app, a bit of software to run in the background of your smart device. Yeah, these guys are some real bastards.
Yeah,
Alexandria, Virginia, because that's where we want the Russians to store. That's where the Russians, I guess, store all of their important information.
They just leave it on the cloud in Virginia.
Yeah, like, okay, I mean, fair enough, I guess, it's a bummer that you got hacked or not a bummer. I don't really give a shit, but I mean, it was bound to happen. Like, you left all of your secret information stored in the U.S. I guess the U.S. probably stores ours in Russia, like, to keep it even. Like, what the fuck, man?
So they can spy on each other.
Yeah, but these are supposed to be like the smartest spy companies in the world, and you thought it was a good idea to save all of your special Russian information in fucking Virginia? Yeah. Like right down the street from like Arlington headquarters, or like what is that?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say right next to the Naval Academy. That's smart, guys.
Yeah. Make sure to build the building so it's got a direct line of sight. Is there a guy in like naval fatigues right now looking through some binoculars at the building?
Well, otherwise you gotta walk too far. You're gonna hop in your car, and then if you have to hop in your car, then you don't want to have to drive too far. So yeah, it needs to be close.
And how exactly are they getting this information back and forth? Like through the backbone, through our normal system? Are you
through the unencrypted back channels that
like how are they? Or just a satellite? Yeah, probably directly to Hillary Clinton's basement, like all illegal information goes.
She's leveraging their output. Yeah.
I think we should mention for activists listening that the Secret Service actually focus on Jabber too. That was a lot used by activists for communication. And the FSB, but also the other secrets, they focus on
XMPP
wiretapping on this Jabber. Yeah.
Oh, really? Because remember, Mark, how I told you that, that Jabber would be the last place the FBI would look for, and I guess I'm wrong.
Yeah, I actually jumped right on it. Like,
Jesus, I guess I was wrong. I was like, maybe the FBI wouldn't look for me on XMPP, an XMPP server. I guess I was wrong.
Well, thanks, man. Like, we now know why they jumped on Jabber. Like, they listened to this show, and we're all like, oh, we should get on that.
Yeah, that's what it could be.
You were responsible, Tyler.
Yeah,
my bad.
Good job, man. Good job.
Well, the weird thing is they also focused on eDonkey. Isn't that strange? There was like the old eDonkey from Emu.
Oh yeah, the old Tor VPN service, right? Isn't that what they were doing? Emu, right?
Yeah, Emu was all the Emu, and they also focused on that, the eDonkey protocol stuff.
Oh, eDonkey protocol. Okay, my bad. I was thinking of something else. My bad.
I mean, the eDonkey network. Yeah.
I was thinking of a separate VPN.
Show. Yeah, we could do a separate show on that. But I could see a couple of reasons why. I think that probably both eDonkey and eMule both use that MET. So yeah, I could see why. I could see how they could fucking. Yeah, I could see some of the reasons why they would get into it just in ease. There's some pretty big security issues. So yeah, I could see why they would be using it.
Well, I just assumed that, because nobody uses XMPP, it would be the last place anybody would look for, communications, and then I thought that everybody had abandoned it, for the most part, but apparently not.
Yeah, and I haven't heard much about it in quite a while.
Well, I mean, you do within some, some circles, Vice uses it, and they use, other than that, small ops here and there, but pretty much the old XMPP servers, a lot of them they're not getting well uptaken, or they're not really monitoring that well when they go off. And when they go offline, they don't ever come back,
Yeah. You just get no nodes there's nobody on it to fucking use it.
No, I mean there are, but they're not well maintained.
Well, and you'd be surprised. I mean, even what stuff is still up and out there.
Oh yeah, bulletin board systems are still up and living. That's something that people don't even realize. The old BBS systems are still online, and communities are still using it, but they're not using it via dial-up modems. I think they're still using a protocol similar to Telnet and shit like that.
Where you got to tunnel into it to fucking get to anything.
We had something about the Mac OS just patched something that went back to 99. It's an old modem software that they still had embedded in there. They've been getting exploited the whole time. I mean, no big hurry to.
You just cut and pasted all that. They just cut and pasted all of that code, and it just got like cut and pasted over and over and over and over again.
Sometimes it's surprising to see how much old stuff is still actually available on the ClearNet that would be considered like darknet material now, like only like on the Tor network because it's so illegal. Like the thoughts, like I last episode I said it. I think too, like the Temple of the Screaming Electron. I mean, 1997 is old PBS, and it is still available.
Yeah,
I mean, like. Stuff we can't say it again, but we can't link to it, but we can say that there is stuff to would like abuse Coca-Cola machines and stuff, and to make like weird bombs and all these things. Probably link to it, but it's all there. I mean, this would even be like hunted down on the dark web, but it's still on the clear web. Like one search for it. It's weird. But because it's old, they don't really update it anymore. It's just like an old archive, which is still if you know where to look for it, it's just easy to find.
So yeah, I'm looking through, and it seems like they really like they knew about this exploit. The guy that made the exploit, Joshua Hill, like did it when he was 12 because he couldn't afford the iMac with a modem, and then like now is a vulnerability researcher and like just kind of looked to see if it still worked. In 2016, Sierra, like they knew about it. And they kind of patched it a little bit. They made the bug a little bit harder to get into, this modem exploit, but didn't actually fix it. They just made it a little bit harder to do.
That's kind of typical, though.
So this is the same Joshua Hill. If you guys know the Firewall Guardian. So he's the same programmer from the Guardian, or the owner of Guardian, which is like it's a firewall software. Pretty cool. I wish, guys. I'm just gonna Apple. If you've got like any of those other exploits, don't just make them harder. You may want to just patch them all together, because making them harder and not fixing it for hackers. Is more like an invite sign than you would think, especially if you've already done the hack up to that point, right? So you don't have to go and relearn and retest everything. So making it a little bit harder really will only add like one step to a hack or an exploit that we're doing. So yeah, just close it all together, right? Don't up the difficulty to the next level and expect it to stop us.
I believe the Guardian project was changed to PeerBlock.
Yeah, PeerBlock. Yeah, that's right. That's why I rang a bell, because PeerBlock was like the way to block yourself when you were downloading on torrents. It just had all these IPs and would just block the requests. It was actually pretty cool back then.
But yeah, not only torrents, but in general, blocking malicious IPs. And it's a shame that project died, because I mean that was needed.
It was really cool.
It was much better than a firewall.
Oh yeah.
Well, and a lot of people, I always go through and change my ports and all of that. Like there's certain ports there's really no reason for you to have open at all. And others that you want to forward to other ports so that they're not, so certain vulnerabilities aren't there. Definitely a tool to stop, malicious activity.
Well, you know who was actively monitoring torrent networks was Army Intelligence, believe it or not.
Yep. Yeah.
They for a long time. They used to always pop up. The only reason I knew is because they would always pop up on Peer Block for years.
Chances are, is just someone got a good you got a good way to download all sorts of cool videos and software.
Well, there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on
It's
Torrent
Army
Network,
intelligence.
so.
I just want to make sure.
Well, you got to remember the original name, ARPANET.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the internet; it's the ARPANET from way back. They never went away. I mean, they started the whole thing. It's
like a one character short of DARPA.
Same guys.
Yeah.
Boy, and they always come up with the best ideas. I mean, obviously, like, how long has DARPA been doing this? The weather ain't getting any fucking better.
Yeah, and everybody's surprised, like, oh, they're tracking us. Well, no shit. From the beginning. I mean, you know.
They said that was what they were going to do. They said that was the plan. Like, some of this stuff, I think it's crazy that people are like, will get up in arms like way after the fact. Did you know? Well, yeah, they told you that. They said that was the plan.
I'm imagining it's actually like a 2-stage project, and that like LiveLog or Facebook is like actually like stage 2. Like LiveLog was like originally a DARPA project too, and it was canceled the same day that the Facebook was created. So, yeah.
Well, government seems to love it. They love being able to censor people through the corporation, or like, you know, through Facebook. And I feel like, oh well, it's like nothing we can do because it's a company.
Oh yeah, it's like one of the few times when you see Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Google, all these companies that have like different interests, right? Different, different business, schemes and all of that stuff. Man, they walk in lockstep when it comes to censorship. Companies that are competing for, and in some cases the same social media, traffic. Right, but when it comes to censorship, they will all censor all at once.
Yeah, more and more. What you get with the Republican or DNC or the RNC is pretty much a package. Anything outside of that package, like you, Terrence, you're outside of the DNC package. Well, then you don't get to talk. Or if you get too wild over there at the RNC, well, then you just get shut down. It's like, we don't want to hear your shit,
Yeah, I am definitely this is something that always bothers me because, there's people on the right that they don't like me. You know what I mean? But man, there is nobody that that goes out of their way to hate on me as much as the Democratic Party. Like, I wonder sometimes, do you guys really have like this kind of disposable income where you can spend this much time fucking with me? And for like nothing. And I don't think that I say anything that, is like against what should be the democratic ideals. But yet if I don't fucking, if I don't support Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden, I'm a horrible person, I guess. You're the reason that Trump won. No, you're the reason that Trump won. I wasn't running the campaign.
God.
I get told that more than fucking that you would believe how often I get told that I fucking ruin. I'm a nobody ruined the fucking campaign.
No, you're disloyal, and you can't do that, no matter which party it is. It's like if I say anything bad about George Bush, well, I'm a piece of shit.
That just doesn't make any sense. I guess it doesn't make any sense to me. I'm extremely loyal, but I'm not going to violate my ideals for. I don't know. I can't see any reason for me to violate my ideals. I can't come up with a good reason in my mind that it would be acceptable to fucking support corruption on any side. And I personally am offended that you would run corruption of that caliber in my name. So yeah, but it's you shouldn't have to walk in lockstep, right, on issues that are I mean, in some cases, a moral issue. Well, you have to support, the big banks. Why? Why do I have to do that? Then you're not a Democrat. Okay, man. Then I guess I'm not a Democrat. That's like I'm not making these rules.
Terrence. Sometimes you gotta make deals.
Can you make some good ones like every once in a while? Like, you're destroying the planet. You got to meet halfway. You're destroying half the planet? That doesn't work for me.
Hillary would have killed me.
That's probably more truth than not. Like, look, man, you got to walk along. Hillary's going to fucking kill me. You don't understand. She's fucking crazy, man. I would say more likely than not. Like Bill, blink if you're being held against your will. We'll come for you, man. Are you being held against your will? Yeah, she is a horrible person that pops up at like the worst times. The best thing that could happen for the Democratic Party is Hillary Clinton just goes away. Go on vacation or something. Be like Obama and just fuck off. The best thing that Obama has done for the Democratic Party is fucking off.
Yeah, he's been pretty quiet, yeah.
Well, I mean, he doesn't have a lot of like excuses. Nothing that he's going to say is going to help. Hey, why'd you kill all those people in Syria and Yemen? There's no good excuse for that. So I'm just going to go and run around on my ski-doo and do some skydiving. But Clinton, wow, like both of them, they pop up like fucking political herpes.
Yeah, they're political psychopaths. They have to be in the news. No matter how many people they have to kill, they're going to be part of the news, you know.
Oh yeah, they will. It's their turn. They will kill for their position,
yeah.
And like, yeah.
Well, they know you have a short attention span, so it has to be pretty regular. We have to keep reminding you that we're the criminals in charge.
I think with Clinton specifically, she's been doing it for so long that even the short American attention span doesn't seem to make you forget Hillary Clinton. Like, boy, she's a bad taste in your mouth that sticks around.
Yeah, she's just annoying to look at. Like, at least with Bernie, you have like you can see he's like an old rebel, right? He's like rude and stuff, and he doesn't like. But she's like faking her entire character. It's like, so annoying to look at. Like,
yeah, I don't buy the reptilian conspiracy. But if I was going to say somebody was a reptile, I would give Clinton and Nancy Pelosi.
There I was in Bosnia, and snipers shot at
under
me,
heavy sniper fire. She had to be ran from there.
Oh, wait! Hold on, Hillary, hold on. No, we were there. We were there. We saw
video.
it. ABC.
Hello.
Oh, she's like shaking hands, and they've got like a full band, and like you were not like there was not even the like inkling that you were in danger. If you saw me in those same pictures, and you're all like, "Yeah, we got off the plane, and there was heavy sniper fire." Where's the pictures of Terrence? Right? He actually got so low to the ground, he became part of the tarmac. Right, you can see him crawling on his belly there underneath the side of the fucking plane. But nah, these guys, even if that was true, like, no way.
Just standing up, yeah, she's just standing up.
And that was to prove that she. I mean, I don't like. Why did you make? I don't understand why she made up that story.
Well, same reason she made up the story about Chelsea Clinton jogging around the World Trade Center.
What?
You didn't know that? Oh,
I didn't. I learn all sorts of new shit about their weirdness every day.
Well,
Stuff that like I have to go and look it up. Like I'm one of those people because I'll hear it, and when you hear it, you're all like, no, what?
No, yeah, that's just true. Like it's a pathological liar. That's what a pathological liar does, is just lie about anything, right? Well, she lied about Chelsea Clinton jogging around the World Trade Center, and it bit her back in the ass when Chelsea Clinton was interviewed and asked where she was during the World Trade Center attack. And she didn't say I was jogging around the World Trade Center.
So wait, she said that she was jogging around the World Trade Center during 9/11?
She said, no. Hillary Clinton said that Chelsea Clinton was jogging around the World Trade Center when the attack happened.
Oh man, whatever.
What?
Just,
okay. Oh yeah. I've got questions.
Oh, I got a whole dozer for you.
Yeah. Wow.
to be fair, these are lies, of course, but Trump did kind of like the same thing. He said, like, when the towers were collapsing, he saw people jumping out of the towers from his window in his Trump building.
Oh yeah, he was hearing people partying from the roofs at the same time. Yeah, I mean, some of it, that event, like, scarred the American people, for sure.
Didn't scar the elite because they lied about a lot of things.
Well, they set it up. I mean, I don't know what people need at this point. Shit, if there's anything that's gonna get us taken off the air, it's fucking 9/11. But I mean, yeah, at this point, like, you don't have to have all of the details. So you've got this situation where you've got, like, a dead person in the middle of the room and a guy there with a bloody knife in his hand. Like, I don't know exactly what happened here, but I can tell you it's dirty. Right? And that's kind of the situation that you have. The buildings were blown up and you guys took all of the evidence. So there's certain, like, parts that we may never know. Right?
Well, let's go into that since you really want to get suspended because I know things that. All right, let's do it. Michael Riconosciuto warned Colin Powell 8 months before 9/11 even happened and said that the cell in New Jersey was about to commit a terrorist attack by using planes to fly into buildings. That's a direct warning that he sent to Colin Powell 8 months prior before 9/11. How the fuck did he know? Well, Michael Riconosciuto was the same agent who met with Osama bin Laden back when he was Tim Osman in 1986. And he sold the Mujahideen man pads or basically shoulder rockets.
Yeah. RPGs.
Right. So he had the connections within Al-Qaeda to basically foretell when the attack was going to happen. Now,
wow.
Okay, well, there is now a number of listeners that are going to say you're controlled opposition because you're saying you're pushing the official narrative that Osama bin Laden is actually responsible for this stuff.
No.
Yeah, right.
Wait. No, let me keep going here.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, there's more.
Just keep going. I'm just pushing you.
Well, let's keep going. The CIA consulate in Saudi Arabia was actually used to bring the hijackers into the U.S. And the person who was in control of the visa program, Michael Springman, said that he flagged the hijackers and said that they had no real reason to go to the U.S. Okay, and he was ordered by his higher superior. These are in his words. He was ordered by his higher superior to allow them into the U.S. And, the Saudis ran a dry run of 9/11. Now, that doesn't answer the question of why the Israelis had vans that were filled with bombs that were around the east coast of the U.S. and including on the George Washington Bridge. I think it was a day prior to 9/11 or I think it was a day prior to 9/11.
Yeah, I've always been under the impression that that seems to have been like a plan B if this didn't pan out the way that it was supposed to.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there is so much. The farther that you look into 9/11, the dirtier that it looks. Now, I mean, there's all sorts of people that made out like bandits on top of it being used as a push to an illegal war, which was the ultimate goal, it seems. And that doesn't even, and those are all things with, places where there were pilots and planes and people that hit buildings. In the case of Building 3, that fucker just burst into flames and fell to the ground at free fall speed. Which is literally impossible.
They both fell. Yeah, they both. World Trade Center 7.
Yeah,
World Trade Center 7 and World Trade Center 1 and 2. They both fell, fucking at free fall speed because they fell the same. You can watch them and you can see that there's something fucked up here. Now, the other thing
that could be fine, that maybe that not fine, but maybe that the moon's aligned in the right way, that those planes hitting caused them to fall like paper. I agree, bullshit. But let's just for the sake of argument, that gravity and science were thrown out of the window for that very second, right? Still, nothing hit Building 3.
Yeah, that's true.
Skip the details, Terrence. Damn it.
You can say that, okay, the planes hit it and blah, blah, blah. And for some reason, jet fuel burnt hotter than it was supposed to. And not only did the only case of a steel beam building falling due to fire happened not once, but twice. Fair enough. But Building 3 just burst into flames and dropped at free fall speed. That is impossible.
Yeah. This is kind of a good intro because we on 9/11 we will probably do like a special again about this, and we use Discord now so we can have as many people in as we want. So anyone who has something to say about this and is listening to this right now, you can just join in our show for the special, and we will.
And look, we don't, we work in facts, right? We don't care what your name is. If you are a person that has information, has knowledge on construction, has knowledge in science, engineering, that agrees with our opinions or doesn't agree with our opinions, or would like to set the record straight on things, feel free to send us a message and join. We got no problem of letting informed people speak the truth. Right. So, we can sit here and talk about our view of engineering. You can get on here and be like, look, man, I've been in construction for 30 years. This is the way it is. Right. And that is worth just as much. So especially on that day, feel free to come on there. And like I said, we don't, as far as the people that come on, we're interested in the information, not what your name is, who you are, where you're from. If you want to make up a name and a state, that's cool. It's the information that we want to get out, to the truth to the people.
I think we probably will invite architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth or something. They have much to say about these things. And, so maybe debate them on air or just join it.
Oh yeah, because especially if you're an expert in an area, we got questions.
Yeah.
And especially when it comes to 9/11. So yeah, any of our listeners that are listening, make sure to show up. Make sure to show up for that show. There's going to be a lot of people talking about it and a lot of misinformation. We can debate what happened, right? We can debate all sorts of issues and people that have spoken out and what others have said, but there's certain parts of it that aren't debatable, and that's that it was used to push us to wars for profit. And there's going to be a lot of people that on 9/11 are going to the patriotism or work on any of that, but are never going to do anything to stop another 9/11 from happening. And that includes terrorism, division, and government corruption. Right, not one of those news agencies that will so clearly wave the flag on 9/11, right, will call George Bush a war criminal. Not fucking one of them. Right, and that is definitely going to happen on this show multiple times on 9/11.
You remember we did a 9/11 special in the past, and we were censored so bad, the audio was entirely destroyed.
We couldn't even go live. It was we just got black screened.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Oh, I'm sure they'll do something similar. Luckily now we're broadcast on so many platforms. It's almost impossible to shut it down for real. They can shut down one show on YouTube or a couple shows or that page, and then it pops back up again. We do one show, tell everybody to move over to the other page, and they're there the next day.
Yeah. I do think we need one or two guys recording it too, just to be safe.
My PC died. I just wanted to throw that out there that my PC died. It was an internet issue.
Well, we do I think that those things will come. We just have to. We have to stay at it. I think because of the way that we work, we always have to stay away from kind of the corporate hierarchy, where, you get viewers and all of this. Well, now you need, need. And before you look around, you're not speaking the truth to the people, which is what we were put here to do.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't want to I hate seeing that happen to organizations, and they'll be just like us. And then you look at something like TYT 10 years later, and their number one goal is to sell T-shirts and keep the lights on. And I never want to get into that. I never want to be into that. Like, if you can't, if we can't speak the truth as the truth, if we have to shine it and, play all of those games to do it, well, then you're not in it for the truth. You're in it for entertainment. Go watch TV.
Yeah.
Well, the main
to be honest. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the main problem is that these Wall Street firms and stuff own media now. And if there's a story where they're involved in it, they'll kill the story.
Oh, yeah. We've already been hit with cease and desist. Like, you said our name when you were talking about us. Well, yeah, how else am I going to talk about the story?
Yeah, to be fair, like in the past, we were like live, we were like sharing like crazy to get as many viewers as possible. But right now, we're just like in this chat being ourselves. And if we don't get like a billion viewers, we will just share it later. We can keep sharing it for the next 20, 30 years if needed. So you'll get the people to watch it. It doesn't matter.
And I'm always under the impression that the word gets out. The internet isn't like anywhere else. Where things, float by and they're never heard from again. Once, what we talk about is on the net, it's there for good.
Yeah, well, for the most part, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, even when they go through, and you've seen recently with different leaks that they've tried to stop and scrub, and I mean, they've obviously spent lots of money and manpower to do it, and it really didn't slow it down all that much. In fact, it made people want it more. My goal is to get the truth out onto the internet, and then that's the most that we can do is speak the truth in this world. That's the most that we can do, and get it out there. And if they listen to it now, or they listen to it in on 9/11 and happen to come by our show, the truth is still there. What we're talking about doesn't change. New information comes through, of course. Ideas can change, all of that stuff, but that's why the facts and what we talk about are facts.
Well, that's the thing. You can't argue with facts that can be cited. And when you can cite those facts, you become a dangerous weapon to the establishment. Because if you could cite like real information, and it's no longer a conspiracy theory, it's real, actual, factual information, and that's dangerous.
And when we do talk about, lots of conspiracies. That's part of the game. We're anonymous. It's fun. We're part of some of them, right? Like, I love a good conspiracy.
Yeah, right? But there is one big issue, and that's the twisting around of these facts. Like you guys just mentioned, like the jet fuel thing, and that's true. It doesn't burn at that temperature and all these things, the steel. But then I saw a documentary, and they say like, no, it's because that jet fuel ignited different fires in the building, and those actually did burn at a higher temperature, right? So they will twist it around to always work in their favor. But of course, it doesn't make a building free fall, so it doesn't even help them.
Yeah, for real. I've seen documentaries like that too, Mark, where they say that what caused the building to actually fall at free fall speed was the weight.
Yeah, the pancake
of
effect.
Other floors above them.
Yeah, the pancake effect.
Yeah, right.
Okay, that can happen with one building, but on the second building falling at exactly the same speed, that is like.
Yeah, no, I mean, that would be, again, yeah, I dig it. That could, you could find somebody in here that could say, look, the jet fuel lit other fires that burnt hot enough to cause the pancake effect, and they all fell at free fall. Cool. What happened in Tower 3?
Except that the architects and engineers have disproved that, and also there was the Alaska University who disproved that World Trade Center 7 fell from a fire. Also, they said that it fell at free fall speed. So
well, and I mean, they've done and we've looked through them and watched them and read them, and I mean, they have done every experiment that you could possibly do, and no one has ever been able to get, the replicas, the computer models. Nobody has ever been able to get them to fall at free fall speed.
Well,
like when you type the numbers in, it just doesn't come out that way. Not without explosives.
Actually speaking, there's a case going in the New York Supreme Court, or I'm sorry, not Supreme, Federal Court, where they're actually listening to the evidence by architects and engineers for 9/11 truth. So this is still ongoing, and I'm not sure when this is going to end. But yeah, I mean, this is happening now. Like, they're actually listening to the evidence in a court.
Well, because in the 9/11 like actual investigation, they didn't do any of that. I mean, it was so open and shut. They really did not look into anything.
What I want to know, honestly, I want to know the anthrax attack that happened after 9/11, and I want to know why the White House and officials around the Pentagon were given anti-anthrax medicine.
Oh, you mean atropine?
I couldn't remember what it was called. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we get those in
common.
we get those in little NBC kits. So, those you always have in, if there's any chance of there being a NBC, nuclear, biological, or chemical attack, you've got the little kits with the injector on you.
Yeah.
And they just go in your little, they just go in your, in one of your pockets. And if you get attacked, you stab that bad boy into your heart. It's got like a plunger that's preloaded. Or in your thigh. That's preloaded. Yeah, sorry. You get a little plunger that's that you push into your thigh. It's preloaded on a spring, so you just slam it into your thigh, and it automatically injects you.
Well, the ironic thing about the anthrax...
No, if you hit the bone, because I'm a skinny dude, so if you hit the bone, that shit hurts so bad.
Well, what I was going to say about the anthrax...
Don't randomly inject yourself with it. It's a really fun but really fleeting high.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it's adrenaline.
The anthrax attacks was that the people who were targeted were politicians who were against the Patriot Act, and also media that was targeted as well. So, that's not by random. And when they looked into the whoever made it, they said that it was a lone guy at Fort Detrick's who synthesized this, and that's not possible. It requires more than one person to synthesize an anthrax that is military grade. I mean, that's just common sense from knowing science. If anybody,
and that's one of the ways that they track it. They can track the exact lab that it went to when they created it. It's that specific.
Yeah, exactly. And they said that it came from Fort Detrick's, and they blamed it on some guy at Fort Detrick's and said he was a lone wolf attack and that he was faking letters by Al-Qaeda and sending them to the media and sending them to politicians. And the politicians that got them just happened to be the politicians who were against the Patriot Act. Come on. Like, what?
Was he sending the fake letters in Arabic?
Yeah, that's what they said. Yes.
Wow.
And
that's impressive.
At first, they tried to blame a Egyptian professor, and that didn't work. So then they went after this guy at Fort Detrick's, and they never finished their investigation because guess what? He committed suicide.
Of course he did.
Dead air.
I was thinking.
Well, that's a drop of the hat moment,
Oh, okay.
I was thinking like the 9. No, Terrence dropped out. Yeah.
Well, okay, I meant drop the mic, but okay, Terrence dropped.
I was thinking like we met about the 9/11 situation. Like always, so much is already mentioned, and like we're like, can't even remember when we mentioned something and when we didn't. But I do know that the architect and engineers 9/11 truth, they hammered against these officials time and time again, and they asked like, where is the rubble of the Why isn't there more rubble of the buildings? These buildings are huge. Where is it? And they were hammering time and time again. And in the end, they did actually admit that we can't explain why there is so little rubble. It doesn't add up. The same as with the airplane thing in the Pentagon, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that random, and then there's only the one video from that guard post on the way by that got out. But man, like you can't. That does look like a pretty standard fucking missile attack. I mean, that's got all the hallmarks of a missile attack.
You want to know something? Michael Reconnaisuto from jail, the same guy I just told you about earlier, he said that 37 Soviet missiles were stolen and smuggled into Canada prior to that 9/11 attack. And he said that they were planning to use the missiles and shoot them at government buildings. So
yeah, there's just the story that it was vaporized when it hit the Pentagon is just not real. So even if the fuselage of the plane, and like I'm ex-Air Force, guys, even if the fuselage of the plane was, basically vaporized on impact, those titanium like jet engines, right, are damn near indestructible. You would find jet engine and jet engine parts everywhere. In most cases, you'd find them in, the engine itself still intact. If you look at normal plane crashes, right, the fuselage can be turned to almost nothing. You'll see plenty of wreckage. You'll always see those big-ass Rolls-Royce or Pratt & Whitney engines sitting there because they're titanium. You can't break them. And that is not there in the Pentagon pictures. Like whatever hit that was not a plane, not a jet plane.
Oh, you mean wings don't vanish and disappear, and then the hole doesn't get all nice and big from
the wings itself could possibly the wings itself those are going to be like carbon fiber and real lightweight materials. The wings themselves could shear off. And they would, have also, they could be in a million pieces, all of that. That again, we're getting into those. So many things have to line up perfectly for that situation to work. You already had to fly at almost ground level. In a passenger jet. Yeah, jumbo jet at 500 miles an hour across a parking lot with lights on it, right? With big parking lights on them. I don't know what else you call them. Big pole with a giant light on it. You can't fly your plane through that. So
and then you also flew that into the budget analyst office.
Yeah, like into the window, man. Like that is one of the greatest achievements, and like we have tried to pull that off through simulators. And we've gotten professional pilots, guys that have, unbelievable amounts of flight time under their belt. The best of the best of commercial pilots, right? We've had fighter pilots come in and try it. It is impossible to pull that off the way that they're saying that it happened. From my perspective, put all of that aside, right? All of that reality aside, there is no way to get rid of those engines. Like, that's just not, if there was two things that you would find sitting there smoldering in the rubble, it's those fucking motors. There is no way to get rid of them. They're titanium. Like I said, they're indestructible. Those are some of the greatest bits of human engineering that you're going to come across, and they don't come apart the way that a carbon fiber plane does.
Well, yeah.
And that's not the hole. That's not the hole that you see there.
Yeah, for real. That's the other big thing, and it's the hole and the fact that again, it hit the budget analyst office. So I guess the terrorists were working to hit the budget analyst office and say, yeah, well, we don't want the U.S. government to investigate itself and its dark programs and its missing $1 trillion, but we're just going to hit the budget analyst office. Yeah, come on.
Well, and that story's always bothered me because, it's the fact that, okay, we lost, that was the same, there was the reason that Building 7 went down was because of all of the paperwork from the investigations that were going on. right? But
Enron, WorldCom,
exactly.
the IPO scandal. Yeah, I can keep going on and on.
And there's heaps of stuff in there that they act like you do. You know, if you're doing an investigation, I'm sure you come up with all sorts of dead ends and information that isn't.
It was also a federal building too. It was a CIA building.
You're correct.
There were CIA offices in that building.
Correct.
Where they were investigating, I forget what, but they were investigating something big. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
There was all sorts of stuff. But when, if you're doing an investigation like that, maybe they talk to 100 people or 1,000 people. Out of those 1,000 people, only 2-3 of them had real information. You don't throw away the whole thing, right? You just go back and talk to those 3 people.
And then you have the world, not the world. Then you have the insider trading that was found by Securicom.
Yeah, and all of this information was kept only in paper copy and only in that spot. Even if it wasn't that, that it was some huge conspiracy, you should still be fired, right, for being a complete illiterate fucking moron. Who keeps the only copy of their most important like investigation in paper copy only?
Yeah, that's all bullshit too.
Yeah, come on, I don't buy that at all. I think nobody ever asked, well, do you remember any of the guilty people you talked to? Just
only
one?
Kept it on those hard drives? You didn't keep it on any other hard drive?
Yeah, well, I mean, even if you did, like in the Enron scandal, okay, so you don't have all of the paperwork anymore. You don't remember any of the names of the guilty people? Just not one? Yeah, nah, fuck it. It's on fire. I'm out. Yeah,
I find it hard to believe they didn't
convenient.
use some type of backup with that data. Like, I find it hard to believe.
Yeah, that our clandestine operation, Powerhouse does not keep more than one copy of its investigations. That's lucky.
That's like when the CIA. That's like when
you never know how much trouble we might have been in.
Shredded the torture report. Accidentally shredded the torture report.
I'm sure. And we all know how government systems work. I have a sneaking suspicion you don't just walk in, pick up the report, and then walk into another room to shred it. That all has to be signed off by people. I'm sure they have a shredding room that you have to have clearance to get into. Oh yeah, I accidentally got rid of all of our torture information. Yeah, accidentally. Yeah, sorry, sir. I accidentally lost all the evidence.
Yeah, and there's they never get censored for any of that or censured for that. It's like you totally blow the chain of evidence and fuck the case up, but it's you work for us. It's okay.
Yeah, it's all. Don't do it again. Not before we have a terrorist attack, at least.
Yeah, because next time, next time we're really gonna slap your wrist.
We might. Seriously, man. I'm serious. If you fuck up again, you're gonna have to take your retirement and your pension and step down to spend more time with your family. Which seems to be
give you a nice big fat bonus.
Yeah, that seems to be the only punishment that these guys ever get, is that they have to step down and spend more time with their family. Have they all married? Are all of their families horrible people too, where that's some sort of punishment? I'm gonna have to step down and spend more time with my family. They're telling me it's a lifetime commitment.
So, Trump.
Please. Trump doesn't spend any time with his family.
Not yet.
Fuck, I have a sneaking. This guy wakes up every morning and has the squad on his mind. I think some of that, if Melania maybe lived a little bit closer, some of that may be avoided.
Doesn't she live in Trump Towers?
In New York. So, I mean, he's definitely not getting any of his presidential needs taken care of. Think maybe he might be a little less cranky in the morning.
Oh, I see what you did there with Bill Clinton.
Good of the American people. Is there not a Monica in the house?
It probably
Before
is somewhere.
We blow up the world. Like, is there a way? Like, when 20 years from now, when they let go all the papers, I'd like to see how his tweets respond to whether Melania was there in the morning.
Yo, Melania, this intern showed up under my desk. You got any idea why she's there?
Oh, Donald, I don't want you destroying country.
Oh my God.
Donald, I can't do this anymore.
That's the Russian collusion, is with the Russian prostitute. Huh?
Yeah, I'm sure.
The honeypot.
Them and his PP video. Gross. That's all. It just gross. But not.
I mean, that's like better than John McAfee, right?
Every morning, Trump gets on and like obsesses about some woman of some sort. I mean, is that not? Am I the only person that sees this? Like every morning, is that not creepy?
Yeah.
Well, he's just he used to call them horn dogs. He's just a horn dog.
Well, I mean, he obviously gets up in the morning and like goes through everything that the squad has done, like everything, in the most minute detail. It seems kind of creepy. I mean, at some point, I dig you don't like him, but this is kind of weird. It's 7 a.m., dude.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. They probably want to bang AOC. She's the youngest thing there.
I'm sure there's a lot of like far right talking heads with their obsession that it's just a cover on why they got caught looking at her pictures at 2 a.m. No, I'm doing research for the show tomorrow. I'm doing research.
It's a bipartisan effort.
That's the only thing that's bipartisan right now is fucking how much they hate AOC. Doesn't matter whether you're Nancy Pelosi, whether you're Joe Biden or fucking Trump, right? One thing they agree on is fuck AOC.
Well, hey, she wanted to throw herself into the fire, man. You got it. Yeah.
I don't think she expected it to be quite so much from the left as the right. Like, I think she expected it coming from the right. But I mean, before Trump went on his racist tweets, like Nancy Pelosi was on her and Biden were on like full on racist tweets.
Yeah.
Well, she's just saying that because she's a hot-blooded Latina. I mean, of course. Right? She'll calm down. Don't worry about it. Are you serious, Nancy Pelosi? Are you serious?
She really said that?
Pretty close, man. It was pretty close. It was bad. It was as bad as Biden's. I mean, you're welcome to disagree with him. You're not welcome to dislike her. You're welcome to dislike her politics. But I don't know, man. If you're trying to run as like the grassroots progressive, you may want to.
Your words.
Yeah. You may want to be a little bit more connected to the actual grassroots progressives.
Well, it's hard when you're sitting in that $15 million, Pacific Palisades mansion over there. I'm sure it's got a nice view. You're a little bit detached.
Oh, he's got some nice houses. Like, he has got some really, really nice houses. We were looking through some of his mansions, and wow. For a guy that only makes, $250,000 a year, he's balling.
Baller.
It's like following Epstein's trail. It's like all of a sudden you just got $1 billion. I mean, it happens all the time, right?
Oh, and he's now they're not him. They're and I'll have to look up exactly who it is, but they're petitioning to make sure that Epstein's financial records aren't released to the public.
Yeah, that's a bit ridiculous.
Being slaves, we don't deserve to know.
Oh yeah, because I guarantee you there is at least one check from the Clinton Foundation there. To help with the island's local population.
Epstein once said that he helped co-found the Clinton Foundation.
That's true.
How many Haitian kids made their way to the island?
It was his initial $4 million investment with them that started the whole thing.
Well, that explains some of it. Like, I mean, you started your money from a fucking, you know what I mean? A pimp, pretty much. No wonder your foundation was evil. Like, there's a surprise. And I guess that must have been before they knew he was a child molester, right?
Before, during, after, it don't matter. Right now, he's
Well, even all of these guys, like immediately, I haven't talked to him in 10 years. I haven't talked to him in 15 years.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. But when did you know he was a child molester? That's what's important.
Let's be honest. Did any of this stop at any time?
No, never. Never. Not even when Bill Clinton was president, which, I mean, if there was any time to stop the drug traffic or the child trafficking ring that you know about, that was probably it. Right? You got like the power of every federal agent. You know what I mean? You can hire mercenaries, fucking do anything that you want, except for get rid of the child ring that you personally know about. It's weird. Yeah, it's weird how like the people that are shocked about the thing that I think we've all known for years and years.
Oh, you mean that elites are pedophiles? Oh.
Well, it's not just, I mean, it's not just that the elites are pedophiles. We mentioned this story, this place, this island, this plane, this guy specifically we're episode 166.
Yeah.
So, I mean, 166 times as a team.
Yeah, well, I don't think talk about Epstein every single episode, but
we mentioned that island. We mentioned that island we'd have to go back and look, but I think you'd be hard up to find an episode where we don't mention that island at least once.
Yeah, because they're all there. I mean, like even Trump, was around all that. He claims he ditched it 10 years ago or whatever, but
right.
So you ditched it when you were 60? You ditched it during The Apprentice?
He said, Trump said at one point in time, he said that Epstein was a terrific guy who likes girls on the younger side.
Oh, I'm sure that sounds... He's a great guy. He likes them a little young, not the way I do, but he's a good guy.
I did actually say that, like exactly like AK said, yeah.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, to be honest, that's like the equivalent of the kiss of death. Like, it seems like it doesn't mean anything, but pretty much if Trump says that you're a good guy, you're probably a murderer or a child molester or rapist. Those are the only people he calls good guys.
Well, if you think about it...
Now, like Assange, he'll say anything. Assange is a good guy when he's campaigning. He's a bad guy now.
Yeah, that's true. But I was going to say that Trump had a model agency, and just think about that for a second. Trump had a model agency. He was running Miss Universe, and Epstein. He was friends with Epstein. What do you think was going on there?
Yeah, and it seems like he liked to take little tours backstage and show off the girls. Well, I mean, he says that he did that. There's videos of him doing it. But while the girls were changing, he would go down, he would go through there and take his look. They would pick out, they'd pick out girls, point them out, whatever. And those were some of the trips that people, Epstein and people like Epstein would go on so they could pick out which child they would like to molest that night. It's fucked up, guys.
Oh, you remember him? He had that quote, you just grab him by the pussy. Wasn't that how that started way back?
Yeah, that was actually what the conversations that he was talking about was about. That's all in one interview and then an open mic.
It's funny. Well, I mean, years ago, you would have called somebody like that a playboy. That's how you would have blown up. It's like, okay, hey, they're rich, they got money, and they're young and beautiful. Well, they're playboys. That's just what you do when you got time and money.
Yeah, there's a crassness that he had. So I mean, he does have I think he more set into the just the rich guy. So I mean, everything is his. Everything he's doing is creepy. It's the Weinstein, the Harvey Weinstein kind of version of money and power, as opposed to the playboy, where there's a little bit of suaveness involved in it, where you're just, people will let you touch them because you're rich as fuck. They don't want to get fired.
Also, not attractive.
Yeah. So I mean, those kind of things. None of you weren't hitting on them. You know what I mean? You feel that you bought them is kind of the idea that you get. I don't know. So I mean. Not that Playboy has a positive connotation for him, but there's a little bit different than that. Than kind of. George Bush was the same way. George Bush really did grab him by the pussy.
Oh my God.
We've not. No. I am not even joking. So I interviewed some of the.
You mean Senior? Senior was little.
Senior.
That's disturbing.
So
that guy acts like he's got a pencil up his ass.
That worked at the restaurants that he liked to frequent. When they would set up, that he would come and eat at a steak spot or whatever. So he would have one of his people come in the day before, and he had his the girls that he liked. So a little bit on the young side, blondes, were kind of his favorite. This guy would come in the day before, set up what they were going to eat, who was going to be there, go over security, pick out the girls, right? Ahead of time, at that time, he would say, look, when you come up, he's going to touch you, not make nothing of it. You don't have to have sex with him or anything, but, he'll put your hand up your skirt, play with you a little bit. But, if it's something that you don't feel like, you can be a part of, then you can leave, you don't have to work that day. Right. They paid really, 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 really well. And the underlying thing is he comes here a lot. Right. If you're cute and you don't play ball, you don't work here anymore. Was the thing that was given to all of these girls. Now, I interviewed 3 of these women, and they first all would only speak to me overseas, and all gave me pretty much the exact same story. So, yeah, he would not buy the girls, but he would have them come in. You just had to be fine with him feeling you up.
Well, George H.W. Bush was also involved in Second Mile. And
well, for the people that don't know exactly what Second Mile is, because we're starting to get a little bit old school.
All right. Well, Sandusky, Jeffrey Sandusky owned Second Mile. It was a charity organization that was basically a front for child trafficking. And basically what they did was, it was a boys' care home type of situation where they would take the boys that were coming into Second Mile and they would pimp them out to wealthy donors. And George H.W. Bush was one of them. And also, I believe... I know Jeffrey Sandusky's son was involved, and there's other people that were involved. I forget his name. George something.
Yeah, I don't know the.
It was Greg.
I know
Bucciaroni. Greg Bucciaroni was the victim who came out and said about the East Coast trafficking ring.
Well, I mean, I never got any direct information on him, trafficking people. These were all girls that worked there. The ages weren't super important. When I say, he wanted them young, it was, 18 to 25 kind of thing. As far as I know, he wasn't interested in children, but he did want them to be, you know what I mean? He's was 50 for one of the girls, and then 56 or 57 for the other one, and then the last one was 70 something. That we spoke with, and the MO was exactly the same each time. And these girls all looked, remarkably alike. You could see that when they said the reason that they were picked was because of their type, you can see, what he was looking for each time. Well, and they all had pictures of him, of them together and him at the restaurant and, all of that. And she was all like, yeah, if you knew as soon as that camera, was off, he was up my dress so fucking quick.
Well, I could tell you that George H.W. Bush was also involved in the D.C. scandal back in the 1980s or 90s. And, I think it was the 90s, because he was president in the 90s. So yeah, he was involved in the '90s when he was in the White House. It was called the Callboy scandal, and it was reported by the Washington Times, and I think ABC or NBC News covered it. And there was a lobbyist. His name was Craig Spence, and Craig Spence basically was caught trafficking these boys within the White House, and there was a whistleblower, Paul Benassi, who talked about Craig Spence, and then after a month after he talked about it, Craig Spence committed suicide.
How many times have we ended this sentence in, and about a week later he committed suicide?
Yeah, I mean, it's like here's the thing: when it comes to these types of things, if somebody's committing suicide like that, yeah, you should just question it.
Yeah, out of the blue, you know what I mean? Like you've got a person that has had a like completely stable life their entire life, worked in government, this, that, and the other, had extremely stressful parts and missions in their job, and was completely fine. And then as soon as this comes out, they immediately became suicidal. Like, come on. Sure, they did.
Yeah, well, he was starting to speak too. He spoke to, I think it was the Washington Times, and then after that, he committed suicide. But yeah, if you look at the Callboy scandal and you look into Franklinville, you'll find that there's a immense amount of witnesses and investigators who ended up dead looking into that. Like Gary Caradori was the lead investigator. He was in a plane, and he had all of the documents. He was ready to go and basically take these documents to Congress. And he crashed in a plane crash, and the documents vanished after his plane crashed, and they could not find the documents.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, it's the same story over and over and over again. But like Preston said on here 1,000 times, if there's no repercussions for what you're doing, why would you stop?
Yeah, exactly, and that's how Jeffrey Epstein feels, because there was no repercussions for him going to jail, right? So he continued trafficking after he got out of jail and was doing it until this year, and then he finally gets taken into prison. Like, he was still doing it, so obviously he has no remorse.
Oh no, I mean, like what's when he got prosecuted before, he basically got away with it. I mean, literally left there and went straight back to his house to his mansion to party up and molest people with his lawyers. Like, if that doesn't say you're not remorseful, I don't know what does. To go back and do the exact same things.
It's like a drug, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is. I mean, it's obviously some sort of sickness, mental disorder. I don't know what your malfunction is. At some point, I mean, he's just a sexual predator. I mean, you may have mental problems that cause you to be a psychotic serial killer too. That doesn't really change the fact that you're a serial killer, right? It doesn't change the fact that those are the things that we count as our most heinous crimes, right? Murder, child molestation, rape, right? You're in the top 3.
I think if all there was trees around and one of them had a knothole big enough, he'd use it. I mean, he's a corn dog.
Yeah, if it was a sapling.
That was a grade A joke. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know what this guy's malfunction is. It's definitely not something that we're able to understand. It just seems that any more than murdering an innocent person in cold blood. I don't know what's the matter with him. I know that he keeps on getting away with it. Like, what's the matter? You know, you can say the you know, the reason for, you know, Epstein doing these horrible things is one thing. What's your reason for covering for him? Allowing it to continue on, you know, the first time, the second time, the 10th time. What's the reason for Barbara Walters covering for him? You know, what mental disorder are you going to claim that she had that made her let it fly?
Did you see that list of other people who went to the island? Did you see the name Kathy Griffin? How do you feel about that?
I'm already pissed off. I'm already pissed off at Kathy Griffin, right? Like she got on yesterday and just made some, like, I don't know, stupid ass statements. I understand.
She does that a lot.
Yeah, you're a comedian. You should totally stick to that.
It's almost like
not your thing.
It's almost like the elite were like, all right, well, you want to be part of our club, you got to go to Little St. James Island.
Yeah, I don't know what. I mean, it's one of those things. What did you do on Child Molestation Island? I bet you molested children.
No, you do the same thing you do at Bohemian Grove or any of them other places, man. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You know, it's like we've said this, you know, before in here. You know, what your reason for going to Child Molestation Island is? I don't know. Did you know it was Child Molestation Island? We did.
Well, I just want to know what you did in the occult temple, you know. That occult temple, shit? I just want to know. Yeah, well, I want to know what that occult shit was.
I don't mind that you're doing occult shit. I mind that you're doing occult shit with children. You want to go there? You want to go there and dance around a giant owl butt crust ass naked? That is up to you.
Did you see Jeffrey Epstein? Did you see the Jeffrey Epstein ranch? Where it has a fucking maze on it. I want to know what the fuck they were doing there.
I don't even want to think about it, man. You know what they did. They
I can tell you what they were doing.
You know exactly what they fucking did.
I know exactly what they were doing. All right. You go here, and we go over here, and we have guns, and you're gonna run through this maze, and we're gonna shoot you if we find you. Have fun.
Yeah, I don't. I like, that's the deal. Like, this has gone so far. And so, I mean, this guy has like multiple rape properties. You know what I mean? In like, how it's 2019 before y'all ever did anything about it, and not because you wanted to. You know, it's one of those things like either you arrest him and you take care of it while you still have a little bit of power and able to make sure that all the names and everybody that you're connected with doesn't come out, or, you know, somebody else takes over in 2020 and there's nothing that you can do. It's everywhere.
Well, there was an episode on Dr. Phil. Actually, it was banned in the Netherlands, where basically there was a victim who said that the elite literally put them in a maze and hunt them like basically human cattle.
If you go and listen to Corey Feldman's fucking talking about it. Like, once you listen to him talk and then you hear the stories of the girls that Epstein molested, right? There's one of them gave like open testimony the other day. And it is like creepily eerie, right? Like how much he said and how much people did not listen.
Yeah.
Well, so this lady was saying it on air at Dr. Phil that she was like recruited at like a young age, and like AK said exactly like that they were like doing like these hunting games and stuff. These elite, like, driving on horses and stuff, and like a maze kind of
at a ranch too. I just want to add that, Mark.
Yeah. There were a lot of Dutch politicians involved, and I already know about the whole pedophile organization in here and the human trafficking stuff. There were huge scandals about it here in Western Europe. But the Dr. Phil episode was taken off the air. This is true. It is no longer the entire show, Dr. Phil, which was like one of the best watched shows on that channel.
I mean, it's still huge.
Yeah, and that Dutch channel, it was like the best watched channel. Like, it was RTL, and everyone was always watching with Dr. Phil. My parents even watched it at home. They mentioned it, and it actually aired once. They watched it, and my dad came to my house, and he said like he talked about this, and then I said like I checked it on the internet, and it said like, yeah, Dr. Phil's taken out there. There will not be any new episodes ever.
Wow.
Yep. Yep.
If that doesn't say that it's true, I don't know what would. You know, if you come out and say it one time and they take it down, you were probably telling the truth.
The big thing about that too is that Dr. Phil said he couldn't say the elite person who was involved in it, and it's kind of interesting in my view, because if you look at the ranch that Epstein has in Texas, and then you look at that interview and you listen to it, what she's describing, it sounds like she's describing that ranch.
Yeah. If you listen, like I said, if you listen to Corey Feldman, and especially that video that he does on The View, with Barbara Walters, right? And I mean, he is worried that he's going to be killed, right? That his life is in danger, which I think it probably was and is. And he specifically doesn't say the name of the people. He describes everything and says it. And he says, look, I can't say the name because my life will be in danger. And the look that she gives him, right? As he's telling the story, staring into him, right? And now we know why, the people that he didn't mention, right? And Epstein was one of them.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and she's giving them that, look, you know what I mean? When you go back and watch it, you can see what's going on there, right? Is she's pretty much, you know what I mean? First calls him a liar, and then look, you say a name, she's giving them that look, you know what I mean? That look that's a threat, but not, right? We're on camera.
Yeah, well, actually, after Corey started naming some of the names, he ended up in the hospital. He was attacked, and he ended up.
He was stabbed, I think. Even.
Yeah.
He was stabbed.
Yeah. Yep. That's what you have to understand. These networks, these pedophile networks in Hollywood, they will kill to keep their secret.
Especially you got a group of billionaires. I mean, I think this is probably is as horrible as it sounds, just from the amount of dirty laundry that's there. I really do think this is the last of the Clintons' political run, at least in the previous generation. Whether Chelsea will try to run as well, but I don't think they're going to get able to get out from under. Sorry. I don't think they're going to be able to just brush off the connection between the Clintons and Epstein. I really don't think they're going to be able to.
What about the whole Pizzagate shit? There's tons of evidence.
Because there's so people got the place and some of the details wrong, and that was capitalized on by the corporate media. I mean, that was, they used that whole, because you didn't give the exact address and the exact, thing. They got distracted on it being a pizza place, and the pizza place became super important, and whether the people were molesting children or not, became a side issue.
Here's another little tidbit for you. There is on this Greater St. James Island, it's a floating pizza joint, is one of the best places in the Virgin Islands. Just happens to be in a cove there on Great St. James.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't believe it. I mean, I wouldn't deny it. There's definitely, like I said, they used the not being able to get the information, the exact facts on the locations, right? There was a pizza place and in the basement and all of that crap. And they couldn't give Jeffrey Epstein's fucking mansion. We've said that, how many times? We've said the island, how many times? We've said all of these places, and the corporate media jumped all over it. Well, there's no pizza place. Well, yeah, but is Jeffrey Epstein molesting children? That was the important part out of that, right? That was the important part out of the story. The where is not really the important part here. Whether or not they had pizza is not really the important part here.
The important part of it was that disinformation took over the information that came out of that. And the important part of that was that Elefante's Instagram had very creepy pictures of kids with money in their mouth. And also there was a picture where somebody was hugging a child, and it said chicken lovers, #chicken lovers. And the hashtag chicken lovers, Google it and look it up and tell me what
fucker. Chicken fucker.
No, it's chicken lovers, and what it means is literally literally what it means is a older man who loves a little kid.
Man, I didn't even know. Hold on, I'm looking that shit up now. This isn't
Yeah,
gonna get me
remember,
into
AK?
fucking
I told
trouble
you about
with
that shit. That weird creepy guy I knew. That he worked for the. What did he work for? He worked for
Holy
He worked for the
shit.
Federal Reserve. Yeah, he told me he was
Okay,
going
so
to. He
here we
told me.
go.
He told me he
Wow,
was
you
going to
learn
a
something
chicken
new every
fucker meeting. And here I am in AA, and I'm like, I never heard of a chicken fucker meeting.
Until you just said it, I had never fucking
And
heard of it
yeah,
either.
then he tells me, then this guy tells me later on that he's a Mason as well, and I'm like, I fucking left this guy, like after talking to him for like a good month, because he was weirding me out, because he told me he was like gay and shit. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck if you're gay. Like it's really none of my business. Like I'm just here to like learn about like AA and shit, and you're supposed to help me. But then it got like too weird. Like he started like reading like Mason manuals and stuff, like the Gospel of Peace and all sorts of weird shit. And I'm like now that AK brought up that chicken fuckers thing, like definitely
Lovers,
yeah, chicken lover. He went to a chicken lovers meeting, so they actually meet. Or some weird, you know what I mean? There's a meeting where these guys meet up and they probably have like fresh prey and shit, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a smart idea to have a bunch of child molesters have a meeting together. That sounds just like a planning meeting.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I was like 19 or 20 at the time. I really didn't think anything was weird, you know, because I really wasn't too aware of, you know, all the weird shit in the world. But now looking back on it, like a year, like almost more than a decade later, I'm like,
so you guys.
Yeah, what the fuck was he into?
Yeah,
You were
so I mean,
fresh meat, dude.
if he put chicken, yeah, I think you got super lucky, man. All right, so I looked it up, right? Chicken lover, adult slang, an adult male homosexual sexually attracted to underage males. Used somewhat derogatorily, synonyms: chicken fancier, chicken hawk, chicken hunter, chicken plucker, chicken queen, pedophile in bold print. I like this definition guide.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you the image, and you're just gonna say, "What the
They said
fuck?"
fucking pedophile. Yeah, man.
Oh, guys, we only have like 4 minutes.
Fucking hearing of that.
4 minutes.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, we'll post the video so you guys can see what we're talking about. That just creeped me the fuck out. Yeah, now that we're coming down to the end, before we get closed here, I do have to give a quick shout out about the Operation Flint this weekend. So we are delivering water pallets and water filters to Flint residents. The water filters are going specifically to young children, babies on bottles that need access to clean water. It's going to be 100 degrees this weekend on top of it. We're handing out a couple tons of water directly to the community. No games, no bullshit, no nonprofits, none of that shit. We're just loading up the trucks with water and water filters and bringing it to the people that need it. Anybody that's interested, you guys know, we don't do, fundraising. We're completely, just funded by the people and ourselves. If anybody is interested, contact the page, contact, Terrence Daniels, Captain Planet on Facebook or Twitter. Look up Terrence Daniels on Facebook. Google any of that crap. If you don't know us or like us, Operation Flint, Operation Flint Home Delivery are both hashtags and other anons that are involved in this project. So we really do need all the help that we can possibly get. We'd like to bring 100 filters, and I think we've got 10 and the 2 tons of water. So if anybody would like to be involved in helping Flint, guys, now is the time, that kind of moment where we can come together and get some real work done.
I just want to get a reaction of that image.
And just so you guys know how important this is, we would never advertise Facebook, but this Flint stuff is so important that it's actually justified.
Yeah, I don't really have have a choice. But our goal here is to get families, and especially young children, which having dirty water is the hardest on, clean drinkable water, and right now, right, not in 6 months, not in weeks, not fill out this paper and come back and talk to us in 2 weeks, like right now. If you come up and you need water, if you've got a small child and you need access to clean water, we're making sure that you walk away with a filter. But we're not rich, guys. We're the opposite. So we need everybody to, anybody that's interested and wants to help out Flint, please be there. If you can't help out like financially or economically, or don't want to, you can order the filters and we'll pick them up on the way. Order them from anywhere you want. If you can't help out that, please share out the project, talk about Flint, do your part like any way that you possibly can. So yeah, that's my little shout out on the closing here.
All right, we have 60 seconds.
Sunday we have like a special on Catalonia again, and next week we do have like Honduras and stuff, and we have more coming up.
Don't forget to spay and neuter all politicians.
If I ever sell a T-shirt, that's what it'll say on it.
And we'll roll out with the credits.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
I hereby declare this to be an unlawful assembly.